Friday panel is going to be joining us very shortly, but first let's get a news update, and it's over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Marine Casualty Incident Board have published a report into an incident involving kayakers on Mulroy Bay last year. The report finds that safety protocols were overlooked, resulting in the kayaks capsizing and posing a threat of death or serious injury. With more, here's Tara Duggan.
On Saturday, the 19th of March 2022, a group of 6 kayakers set out on a commercial guided trip on Mulroy Bay. The trip organiser and 5 clients were present. The clients were adults who typically lacked kayaking experience, with only one dressed in a wetsuit. The remainder wore clothing such as jeans and winter coats. In addition, one client couldn't swim. It was also revealed in the investigation that the trip organiser did not hold the relevant kayaking instructor qualifications. All kayaks capsized when wind speed increased and the sea state deteriorated. 2 clients in the double kayak were able to right their kayak and make their way to the other side of the loch. A further 2 clients also made their way separately to shore, one having to swim for 20 minutes. The remaining client and trip organiser drifted in the water for roughly 1 hour after losing contact with their kayaks. They required hospital treatment but were released later that day. The alarm was raised by a member of the public who witnessed the distress on the water. The MCIB has made safety recommendations addressed to the trip organiser, Canoeing Ireland and Sport Ireland, Waterways Safety Ireland, the Minister for Transport and all providers of paddle sports activities.
And a link to that full report is available on our website highlandradio.com. The Donegal Local Community Development Committee is urging people to participate in a consultation on the Local Economic and Community Plan 2023 to 2029. Leader and Peace Plus plans are also under discussion. Events are being hosted in 9 venues across the county over the next week, at which people are being invited to comment on the goals of the plan. Councillor Niamh Kennedy is chair of the Donegal LCDC, and she says it's an important discussion and she hopes people and communities will be at the heart of it.
It must come from the people, our people and our place. And people and place is mentioned so much. Some of the topics that are coming up already are youth retention. How do we keep our young people? Childcare came up quite a lot. Transport in the county has come up. Looking after our older people. Obviously, housing is huge. Small and medium enterprises is also huge. And it's trying to, make sure that nobody is left out.
The Education Minister has told the State Examinations Commission that the Leaving Cert results should be released in August. Currently, students sitting the exams have no idea when they'll be able to collect their results. Last year, students were forced to wait until September 2nd, 2 weeks after they're traditionally issued. And looking now to weather, mostly cloudy with patches of mist and fog this morning, staying largely dry for the day with the occasional sunny spell. Highest temperatures of 15 to 17 degrees. That's all for now. We'll have more news updates at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Julia, thanks for waiting there, because I'm back with a banger of a car and home insurance quote for you. Jules, my sis lives near you and the potholes are a nightmare. They just are.
Why is it so hard to get a good deal on simple car or home insurance?
Well, getting a quote from An Post Insurance is never this hard. For car and home insurance that's a little more human, call 0818 22 2222 or visit anpostinsurance.ie.
You feel me on the potholes, Jules, yeah?
Acceptance criteria, terms, conditions apply. One Direct Ireland Limited trading as An Post Insurance is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. One Direct Ireland Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of An Post. Home insurance underwritten by Aviva Insurance Ireland DAC. Best prices online.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. It's 6 minutes past 9 on this Friday, the 19th of May 2023. You're very welcome along to another edition of the 9 till Noon Show. I'll introduce our Friday panel to you very shortly, but just to remind you that we want your views and comments as well. WhatsApps and texts come into the show on 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000. Or you can call the team on 07491 25,000, but don't be afraid to share your views. You can also email comments@highlandradio.com. And just an early reminder for you that if you want to watch the show, go to YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland on your smart TV, Fire Stick, phone or laptop. And you can also watch us across our Facebook pages. Okay, let's introduce our guests this morning. We've a lot to get through. Suzanne Rogers is a journalist, course director at Northwest Regional College. Good morning, Suzanne. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks very much for the opportunity.
It's really great to have you back on the programme. Senator Pauline O'Reilly of the Green Party. Senator, good morning.
Good morning, Greg. Good to be back.
Great to have you back on the programme. And a regular also on the show, Eamon McGee, former Intercounty footballer and columnist. Good morning, Eamon.
Morning, Greg. How's the form?
Good. Great to have you with us again. Okay, just reading a headline from May the 22nd, 2022, so 3 days off a year ago. The government has been secretly warned that the arrival of tens of thousands of refugees into towns and cities across the country poses a risk to social cohesion and integration. The memo also stated that the issue will be particularly felt among deprived communities. So no one, I would argue, can claim the current climate that seems to exist in Ireland comes as any surprise. There have been hundreds of protests this year against the placement of refugees. There's an ongoing standoff at refugee accommodation down in County Clare, and there's been two really quite serious separate attacks on refugee accommodation in Donegal in recent weeks in Buncrana. A property that was going to house Ukrainian refugees, we're told, was very badly damaged in an arson attack, and also we saw that another accommodation with families in it, it has to be said, was targeted by someone throwing a firework towards the building. The owner of that building convinced that they tried to get that firework in through an open window, which hasn't really gathered as much attention as I thought it might. So, Senator O'Reilly, where do we go from here? Because I think we are in a real problem situation, and I don't hear any answers really coming from the powers that be. What's your view?
I think it's really important to just say at the outset, it's absolutely unacceptable, the kind of, damaging behaviour that has happened. But they are isolated incidences. So I just say that at the outset, and I would feel for anybody who's put into that vulnerable situation, those refugees who haven't felt a welcome, obviously. We have 84,000 refugees. That's how many has come in, and that's over the last year. And in the previous years, it was 8,500. So as you say, it is unprecedented, and I think that we have to accept that there has been a failure in housing for decades, and that's exacerbating, I think, some of the situation. So we have 6,000 extra accommodation since January has been located for these refugees. But every time, refugees come in, it is a case of trying to find more accommodation. And so there is a pressure point there. An increasing supply of housing has to be part of the solution. And there's more housing has been, that we've had more housing than ever before last year, but that has to ramp up and has to continue. There's no doubt about that. But I think that, it's one thing to protest outside Leinster House, outside a council chamber, outside, the decision makers, but I don't believe that it's acceptable at all to protest outside somebody's home, whether that's temporary or it's not temporary. And indeed, some of these haven't even been protests at all. They've been blockades. Blocking food from getting to people was what was happening in Clare, for instance. And I would urge anybody who considers that to be acceptable to rethink.
But is it acceptable? Is it acceptable for someone in Dublin to make a decision to house a group of refugees, asylum seekers in a rural part of Clare, with no services, no shops in the vicinity, no street lighting, nothing for these predominantly young men in this instance to do, with zero consultation with the local community? I mean, is that acceptable? I take your point that you believe that blockading is unacceptable, but is it acceptable to treat communities like that either? Because one follows the other. That doesn't justify what follows the initial decision, but that is where we're at.
Well, the accommodation in some cases might not be perfect, but it's better than somebody sleeping on the street, which is the alternative, Greg. And I don't think that it is true that it's people in Dublin making decisions. It's absolutely decisions that are happening right across the country. But actually, the majority have been accommodated in Dublin. The vast majority have been accommodated in Dublin. But where there's accommodation, where somebody is willing to come forward and say, we have accommodation for X number of people, obviously the state's going to have to use that, because that's the situation that we're in, and it's not perfect. But we have to, of course, it's important to consult with people, but it's not a negotiation. It can't be a negotiation that, people say, well, we're just not having people. We never stop.
Why can't it be? Why can't it be a negotiation, though, whereby things like, if it's relevant, the local GP capacity, local hospital capacity, local school capacity. Now, school capacity is not relevant in the Clare situation, but surely the right thing to do for the benefit of not just the refugees or the asylum seekers, but the local community is actually to have consultation. It's you disregard it as if it's some sort of a crazy notion.
I'm absolutely not disregarding consultation, but we can't have a situation where everywhere, all over the country, people say, no, not here, sorry, not coming into our county. And that's what's likely to happen in that situation. But of course, I'm obviously Galway based myself, and there are places where there aren't as many services, and they're never top of the priority list in terms of accommodating people. You absolutely have to look at what the local services are. But as well, what we've announced this week is a huge fund to support services in areas where there have been refugees.
50 odd million from Donegal. And I'll come back to you in a moment, Senator. Suzanne Rogers, as I say, the government were warned in this memo that we were going to find ourselves in this situation. I don't think we've reached the peak of it yet. We are seeing things accelerate. We're seeing it being okay, and quite a bit of public support to burn tented villages effectively in Dublin. As I say, it seems setting fire to prospective accommodation in North Donegal is not necessarily headline news anymore. And we have down in County Clare, and I'm not in any way judging what's going on there, but we have an element of vigilantism in that, we have people boarding buses and counting how many people are on buses and deciding how traffic moves in a particular area. So we are really quite a long way down the road of where the government was warned a year ago. And I can only see things getting worse. So we have to do something in the more immediate term. But your overview of it all at the moment, Suzanne?
Well, I mean, the first thing that strikes me is you're absolutely right. The government knew what was going to happen. And just listening to Pauline there kind of encapsulated where the problem lies. Because on the one hand, she says it's fine for people to go and demonstrate in Dublin at Leinster House where decisions are being made. And then on the other hand, she's saying, I don't agree that all the decisions are being made in Dublin. They're being made across.
I also said council chambers, to be fair, Suzanne.
And then, sorry, just let me carry on. And then she says, no, it can't be a consultation with people because people don't have the right to say, you
also didn't say that.
Pauline, will you let me finish what I'm saying?
Only if what you're saying is actually what I said. Well, I didn't say that.
You actually said it cannot be a consultation.
Didn't say that.
You did.
I think, Senator, you did say it cannot be a consultation.
Yeah, and then you contradicted yourself by saying, well, there have to be talks, we have to decide how and what areas, not every area is going to be suitable. So that to me just demonstrates the absolute confusion over the handling of this situation. And what I would say is that the arguments that we're having are not the right arguments, because at the minute the arguments are the asylum seekers who are coming in, be they from Ukraine or be they economic migrants or from other areas, are being pitted against local people. And that's wrong. That is not where the argument should be happening. Where the anger and the ire of people on both sides, as refugees and as local Irish residents, should be directed is at the government, which has been totally ineffective. And you have a situation where the Green Party were saying, we want to end direct provision. And now they're saying we don't even have enough direct provision to house the people who are coming in. We currently have just over 500 people who are totally homeless. There's no accommodation for them anywhere. And that's the priority, to try and get them into accommodation. But we also know that refugees are arriving into Ireland at a rate of around about 80 a day from the most recent figures that I got. And nobody is doing anything to sort out that situation. And what's happening is it's created a vacuum where, coming into that, you have local people who are quite rightly concerned because there aren't enough GPs. The sanitation isn't there. The school places aren't there. And they are rightly very, very concerned about that. And they see absolutely zero leadership. It's just rhetoric and talk, and it's been going on for a year, and people are being left in this situation. And those refugees who came to Ireland either fleeing from Ukraine, and Ireland was right to open its doors and say, come, it's an emergency, we'll try and look after you. They are the ones who are being targeted now with that terrible attack where it's believed that there was an attempt to use a firework to set a family home alight. The burning down of Peter Casey's centre that he was building for refugees, and those, frankly, shocking scenes that we saw in Clare. You have to understand that local people were pushed to the end on this, and there is nobody making decisions, and there's nobody sorting out the problem, which needs to be addressed. And there's been a complete lack of communication, a complete lack of understanding of the concerns of local people, and no attempt to talk to communities and to negotiate with them. And they have rights too. Leo Varadkar said, oh, nobody has a right to say, not you can't come into my county. Yeah, I would agree with that. But nobody has a right to say, we're just going to impose, we're going to double the population of this area. We're going to throw 400 people into an area. And you, the local people, are going to have to cope with it. And I think it's worth saying as well that in Clare, there are various groups there who have worked very hard over the past year to help refugees coming in, to integrate, who've organised events, who've organised outings. I think they put on a bus. One of the first things they did was put on a bus and took a load of refugees around Clare to show them the county. So it's important to kind of balance that as well. But 1 year on, people are very, very frustrated. And I think their voices need to be heard. Okay, and I'll come back to the both of you. Eamon, I just want to bring you in at this point. You've heard the comments there from Senator O'Reilly and Suzanne Rogers. What say you?
Listen, I think, pardon me, I think it's important that, the people would have been consulted and areas would have been consulted, but I think we also have to be careful too that we start to legitimise what's some of the actions that's being, and some of the groups that are jumping on board this. I don't think it's touched upon yet that there is a roadblock set up on some residents in Clare asking for people's passports. And for me, that's a dangerous road we're setting on. And I don't care if you weren't consulted. I don't care if you feel that the area just can't hold X amount of people. There's just no excuse for something like that.
But Eamon, let me put it to you, if it's okay. If you lived in a small rural area, okay, and a large group of men came into that area, you had there's nothing for them to do. There is literally nothing for them to do there. You don't know where they're from. You don't know the backgrounds. You don't know if they've got criminal records or anything like that there. Can you not see how that could generate in a very small community a sense of fear? I'm not justifying.
I can see how it generates a sense of fear, but like this is the trust we have. We should have in our structures of power. That I can't just go out and stop a road and hold up a road and say, listen, only Clare people are allowed in here, or this limited and boring vision that we have of just Irish. I think I understand what you're saying, but we've got to be careful, like in terms of where we're going, because the more we kind of lend credence to this, the more we legitimize these clousters that are jumping on board. Yeah, I'm not saying. But okay, let's just say separate out the fact that the people of this area of Clare have taken that action. Okay, but there is
there is fear and anger and upset in many communities. It doesn't manifest itself in these blocks, right? So, and this is separate from people who are, effectively they've got the PayPal information out there, and they're making money off the back of sort of propagating fear and what have you. Well, let's separate that. There is let's just talk about the general population, right, who aren't bigoted or anything, but have genuine fears and concerns about massive increases in populations, a lot of strange people that they don't know, or they don't know their background or their history, coming into an area. I mean, their fears do have to be addressed, even if it doesn't manifest itself as a roadblock.
And yes, they do, but let's go through the right avenues here in terms of, I firmly believe, remember, I forget how long ago was that there was a drive to decentralise Dublin, and just hypothetically we say we're going to take a group of people from Dublin, from Facebook or something, plonk them in Clare, there wouldn't be half as much hullabaloo about it. And I get that there's fears, but this is part of the gig. We're part of the EU here.
Yeah, but just to your point there, I think communities are, for right or wrong, I'm not here to judge, but there's been very, very few issues with people fleeing Ukraine and into accommodation here, when it's the makeup is families. I know many areas where there's a almost full integration. Okay, the particular concern seems to be when it is large groups of people who aren't EU citizens for the most part, and mostly are male, being put into an area. You know what I mean? I mean, that seems to be what causes the most problems. I'm not sure if that's controversial to say it or not, but that's the realities. It is not the hotels full of Ukrainian families. That's the reality of it. But what are we to do? That's the gig. That's part of what we are, and that's part of the group we've the responsibilities we've committed to. It can be helped. I think there's been poor leadership, definitely, in terms of, you referenced the article at the start, in terms of the warning. It can be definitely helped, and then to allay these fears. But this is what we've signed up for here. All right, it's kind of confusing, Pauline, because even in terms of policing, we have Leo Varadkar concerned that there's not enough police, and then we have the Justice Minister satisfied there is enough police, and he's backed up by the Garda Commissioner, but then we've got the rank and file Gardaí saying, there's not enough of them, they're not getting proper direction. So even in terms of policing, any public disquiet, seems to be an issue within government where the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, and disquiet amongst the leadership of the Gardaí and the rank and file. And that's just one area where there's even further confusion and what have you.
Well, look, just on the point of consultations there, because I think it's really important that the words matter. That what I'm saying is it can't be a negotiation as to, like, everybody just saying no, not in my area. That we can't engage in that, because then it is about, this is the kind of person I want here and this is the kind of person I don't want here. And we never say that about new people moving into our area. So why would we suddenly say it about people who are, not originally from Ireland? So that's the part that I don't.
Because people don't know their backgrounds and have security concerns.
But I mean, you don't know necessarily the background of all of your neighbours. Where does that end? Now, I think that the point about allaying fears and consultation is important. But I will tell you as a politician that that word consultation is used as shorthand by politicians across the political spectrum for essentially, we don't want people here. And even where there's been cases where people have been consulted with for months about, new centres opening up, they will still at the end of that a few months' time say we weren't consulted with. And actually, it's not true. They were. But there are some cases where it is last minute because the alternative is going onto the streets.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to buy that, because to be honest with you, a lot of the people that initially offer this accommodation have really quite a lot of advanced knowledge, and they're told not to say anything. And it's policy not to consult with local communities, and also
it's not policy.
It is policy. I know for a fact it's policy. It is policy not to consult. It's policy in advance. It is policy. Sorry, Senator. It is policy not to consult with local communities before these decisions have made, because that policy changed when they were opening a direct provision centre in Moville, and the minister told me on this programme that we have to stop consulting in advance because we're in a crisis and we have to move forward. So it is policy, because it was said to me and I heard it with my own ears. There's no advanced consultation.
It's a crisis, and accommodation sometimes is quite short. And even if it looks like it's fairly lengthy, in order to get that contract over the line, it can take a bit of time. So, I actually just don't buy this, that people are not being consulted with when they...
Give us an example, Pauline. You said some places were consulted for 3 or 4 months.
I will give you an example. One example is in an area in Dublin where they were consulted with since February.
What area? An area in Dublin? What area? Be specific.
Well, I know whose constituency it is, because I know a particular politician who is still saying that they weren't consulted with, and that's Roisin Shortall, has still said, and that was reported in the Irish Independent, that she said she wasn't consulted with, when I know for a fact that there's been massive consultation for months. But that's not, the particular part is not relevant here, other than it's been nationally reported. So look, I want to just say that there is a difference between a negotiation that says, no, we're not having people, and that kind of consultation, which is, how are we going to best manage this? And let's listen to.
Well, can I make a suggestion? So you call a town hall meeting in Inch and County Clare a month before, or 3 weeks or 2 weeks before these people arrive, and you invite the locals into it, and you say, we are in a crisis here. We are going to have to sign a 1-year contract for this accommodation. You give a brief outline of the type of people that are going to be there. You talk about, well, we're also going to set up a bus for them, so if they need to get out during the day, we'll do that. We've looked at the GP services, and we understand there's a bit of pressure, so we're going to bring a GP from this neighbouring constituency who's going to come in on Tuesdays. That type of stuff. You go in and you say that, right? And then people can say, well, look, it's not ideal, but we've got a bit of information. They've talked about local services. They've talked about how they might occupy these people's minds in this accommodation. You don't then take a vote to see if it can happen. But even that is not happening.
No, well, and I'd agree with you that is the preference, that happens. But I don't accept that it's purposely not happening. I'm saying that when it can happen, it is in advance, it is happening. But even if it's not in advance, there is still there are still consultations ongoing. Minister Joe O'Brien was in Clare last night to meet with residents to continue that conversation.
Right. Well, I can assure you, I would be very confident, Senator, that they've been talking about opening 3 areas of accommodation for the last week, and I can assure you that there's been zero consultation with any of those areas until the people move in, and yet they've been flagging that this accommodation is coming online for a week to 10 days. And what I'm trying to do here, and what Suzanne doing and Eamon doing, we're like... It's to try and get to a place where everything's better. It's not here to slag the government off and drag them through the hot coal. This is about saying, look, we need to talk all together politely, and everyone needs to listen till we find a better solution to the problem. That's my motivation. I hope you get that, Senator. I think you probably do. It's not just to sling mud at the government. It's like, come on, let's try and all work together and come up with a proper solution to this situation.
Ultimately, this is about the fact that we are trying to accommodate people. So this isn't about the government. This is actually, from my point of view, this is about the fact that it's not okay to say that these are the types of things that happen if there's no consultation. No, these are the types of things that are actually criminal acts, and they have to be called out as criminal acts.
Right, okay.
Full stop. The consultation piece is a separate thing, but it is never acceptable to blockade things, to stop food coming in, no matter how little consultation.
But if you drive people you keep pushing people, pushing people, eventually they have to stand up and do something, whether you like it or not, or whether...
I don't accept that. I don't accept that you throw petrol bombs, that you engage in violence.
But you see, the problem is here is we have to be very careful, Senator, because there's different things going on here with different groups of people. We've got groups of concerned residents, taking one level of action, and then in another situation you've got a very extreme criminal action by someone's probably motivated completely differently in throwing a firework at accommodation.
But what's happening there, Greg, is that at these I call them cloisters, and these clowns are piggybacking off these genuine concerns.
Yeah, of course, that's going to happen.
And I think we have to be careful in terms of how much, you're saying people have been pushed, and these just get through with this.
Right,
here.
but there was one person.
Happened?
Yeah, but in County Clare, there is one high-profile citizen journalist that went down to Clare, and not one local spoke to him.
Fair enough. So what happened when the tents were burned?
Well, I don't know. That's, you see, I don't think the people of Clare would be burning.
This is the thing. If we start letting stuff slide, if we start letting people, saying, "Oh, it's okay for the people at Clare Village in Clare to ask for passports. It's okay for a village in Clare to block a road," then it's right. I think it's a very dangerous road.
Suzanne, come back in, please.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with what you're saying, Eamon. Of course, it's not right. It's absolutely not right. But I think we need to step back and look at the reasons why. And what Greg said there, people were being pushed and pushed and pushed. And we don't know, maybe in this part of the world, what some of the issues are and what some of the problems are, because there haven't been that many refugees coming to this part of the world so far, this part of Ireland so far. So we need to understand. And the problem is absolutely right. They then get, I love the word, Eamon, I haven't heard it for years, clousters, but I'm glad you reminded me of it. I'm going to start using it more often now. But you do get those clousters, those extremists who jump on that bandwagon and have an opportunity to let their own absolute racism out there. But I don't think you can tar everybody with that. I think we have to stand back and understand why people are feeling so angry and frustrated. And I think, it's worth mentioning as well, this is Donegal. We're talking about Donegal, where people have been fighting for years. Their homes are crumbling around them with the whole Mica scandal. And the government is saying, well, we'll give you maybe 90%. And they are fighting that fight. They're 100% right. They should be getting 100% redress for that. And they are looking, going, well, hold on. We don't have homes to move into while our crumbling homes are being rebuilt. We can't afford to rent them. And we're seeing people coming in and automatically being housed. Now, there's the people coming in and automatically being housed have an absolute right, but you can understand that people in Donegal, in particular, and down the West Coast, in particular, who've been hit by Mica, would look at that and feel aggrieved.
And Susan, can I put it to you that the way you resolve that, rather than inadvertently pitching one group of individuals to another, is you say to the people affected by defective concrete, you say that we are actually now going to provide 100% redress. It's going to be a multi-annual, multi-billion scheme. We accept that, but that is what we're going to have to do. And then the people with the defective concrete homes would have some hope and something to look forward to. And then we could also, with the billions that we seem to have in excess, could also try and resolve the refugee crisis. But instead of that, we find ourselves pitching people against each other by accident, presumably, and not design. It doesn't have to be one or other.
Totally agree. And to some extent, it suits the government if you've got lots of people fighting against each other. Then nobody's turning the spotlight on them and saying, you are inadequate, you have not planned, you are running around like headless chickens. What are you doing? Ireland is quite wealthy. There is money there. We know that. There is a good surplus there. So there is no reason with a combined effort that this couldn't be addressed. And the vast majority of people, and Donegal people in particular, are very reasonable people. They're very laid back kind of people. I'm proud to be a Donegal woman. We are very welcoming. And I think if there was proper consultation, if people were told, this is what's happening, this is what we're doing, we understand your concerns, here's how we're going to address it, the vast majority of people would say, fair enough, it's not ideal, it's not the way we would want things to be, but we will go along with that. And that is what's been lacking. And the problem is that you pit two groups, apparently opposing groups, they're not, they shouldn't be. Local residents, refugees coming in, they get pitted against each other. The extremists jump on the bandwagon, and the spotlight is not being turned on the government. The spotlight is not being shone where it should be shone, and they are not being held to account. And that, to me, is the crux of the issue.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen. I'm gonna return to this just for 5 minutes before we move on to our next topic. But we do have a break to catch up on. Stay right where you are. We'll be back in just over 3 minutes.
Is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Tommy Marin here, writer of It's the Real McCoy and Three Hail Marys. Join me at On Grain on Letterkenny for my new show Celebration Ireland, Saturday, May 27th. Hilarious sketches, sing songs and so much more. Celebration Ireland on Grain on Letterkenny, Saturday, May 27th. Book on 07491 20777 or on grainon.com.
I have the right to make the decisions that matter to me.
Decisions about my money, my property, where I live.
Decisions about care and medical treatment.
If any form would support,
the new decision support service can help.
And if I want to plan ahead so that my wishes are always known and respected,
I can do that too.
The decision support service can help me and those close to me
to understand the options available.
My decisions.
My rights.
To find out more, visit decisionsupportservice.ie.
Need help designing or understanding plumbing requirements for your new bathroom is not a problem. Our experienced staff are equipped to handle any type of bathroom installation, from a simple tap replacement to a complete bathroom overhaul. Call in and see us and view our checklist to make sure you have everything in order. It could save you money and a huge amount of hassle. McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Towers, Buncrana, making things simpler for you.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
PDO Thread Lifts, the ultimate non-surgical lift for the skin, improving facial contours, lifting and tightening jowls, the neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Eudore. For help choosing the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat-dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Eudore, 07495 325 75.
Are you tired of the daily grind of commuting to work? Long for the flexibility and freedom of remote working? Then G-Tech Digital Hub, Termon and Carrigart may be the perfect solution. Join G-Tech Digital Hub today and start living and working on your own terms. Find us on Facebook.
Transform your home with a visit to McGinley's Furniture Letterkenny, located at the Portlink Business Park just off the Port Road. You'll find a huge selection of top quality suites, beds and mattresses, also slide robes and custom-made dining and occasional furniture, with prices to suit every budget. See the great choice for yourself at our showroom, McGinley's Furniture, Portlink Business Park, Port Road, Letterkenny. Click mcginleysfurniture.com.
To passengers going on holiday, take the power of An Post Money. Pay for things all over the world with foreign currency in cash and on the An Post Money currency card powered by MasterCard with 24/7 card support from real people. And with the app, you can set currency rate alerts and we'll tell you when your target rate is reached. Power your travel money with An Post Money. Search An Post Travel Money or visit your local post office. T's and C's apply. An Post Money currency card is issued by PPSE USA pursuant to licence by MasterCard International. PPSE USA is authorised by the National Bank of Belgium and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland for conduct of business rules. An Post is authorised by the Minister for Finance to provide foreign currency cash.
OK, we're in the company of Suzanne Rogers, journalist, course director at Northwest Regional College, Senator Pauline O'Reilly of the Green Party, and Eamon McGee, former inter-county footballer and columnist. And Eamon, what I'm trying to facilitate here is a conversation. No, it's not like pull the drawbridge up and, you know, everyone who's not Irish out. This is not what it's about. It's just to try, and as I think I might have said before the break there, is like maybe we do need just a broader national conversation where if you're pro-refugee, you're called a nonce of, that's already coming on the text machine, or if you're perceived to be anti-refugee, you're called far-right or a racist, and everything in the middle is lost in between. So going forward, we have to figure out how we do what we have to do And what do you think we need to be doing going forward in this country? Because this is an issue that's not going to go away anytime soon at all.
Communicate properly, and maybe but it's not today or yesterday that the communication in terms of get the message out there poorly has been an issue with this government. We've seen that through various different emergencies and whatnot. So I think just getting the message, and yes, there has to be a bit of consultation and letting people know and all that. But in terms of providing, when we do go to that consultation, that if the feedback is negative, that we don't just pull the plug on it. Like we have to provide consultation without giving the people the final say now. But definitely communication would be a big one for me.
Do you think if we maybe saw more accommodation being opened up in more affluent areas, maybe grounds of Arsenukdaron being used, or
no?
Do you think that matters?
I don't think. I think that's a kind of. Don't think that's a rabbit hole we want to go down. It wouldn't be a fruitful one. I think the accommodation is an issue. It's an issue for everybody. How many programs have you had? And we've talked about accommodation, and I'd probably say that you solve that one, you go a long way to allaying the frustrations and the fears of a lot of people. But again, that's a long term one.
Senator, obviously, we had a housing crisis already, and you referenced, I think, the years of perhaps a lack of building that got us to that point. We do have housing for all, and I know the government's been publishing figures today that show that we're up on targets and up on last year, but there's so much accommodation needed that perhaps is medium and long term. So in the short term, because I don't think any of us want to continue like this, because I think it's dividing the country, and it's divisive, and it's creating a really unpleasant atmosphere. What do you, as an elected rep or as a public representative, let me put it like that, what do you want us to see us do better in the short term over the coming weeks and months?
Yeah, I mean, I do think, I think for one thing, politicians do have to show a level of leadership to say, what behaviour is just unacceptable. They are leaders in their community as well. And I think the same goes for, journalists as well. Like, there's some things that are just unacceptable in our society. But there's also the fact that, of course, I do think that we need more of a conversation. The makeup of Ireland is changing, and that can be a really positive thing, a really good thing. We've seen people welcoming in Ukrainians in particular when this war started, and we are in an unprecedented situation. And of course, when you're in the middle of that, you're trying to get accommodation day to day. But I absolutely believe that we need to be having conversations about the fact that the nature of Ireland is changing, and that also means that the services need to reflect that too. We've had a real challenge in rural parts of the West in trying to get doctors in, and I see reports in the papers today that there are more now coming from outside of Ireland, which I think is a positive thing. Was certainly a frustration for me that the HSE wasn't even looking out, and SAILTA wasn't even looking outside of Ireland for more doctors. We're in unprecedented levels of employment at the moment. We've never had as many people employed, so it's difficult to get people. But there's also opportunities there for people coming in from outside the country to provide the kind of employment and the kind of services that we need as well. So I think we need to fast track some of that to ensure that people can work in the community and be very much part of the community when they arrive. But certainly the people who've arrived in Clare, they're just on the verge of getting their employment status, and so they will be able to contribute. But I do think that a lot of this has to come back to how we have these conversations, and that we are not saying ever that you can just say no to people moving into your area, but you do have to take on board, well, what is it going to mean for the services, and provide those. But as I said, even if all of those conversations it can't all happen before people arrive. It doesn't mean that the end is there. I mean, these people are in our communities for a really long time, and that's why Minister O'Brien went down to Clare yesterday.
Listen, I don't want to confuse things, but I mean, you say you can't just say no to people living in a certain area. You'd be familiar with the planning laws, and you can't even build a house on your own land here. So it's all right for the powers that be to say no. I'm not conflating there, but anyway.
But there is an element. Absolutely. But there is an element of whataboutery. I'm not saying that you're doing it, but I
think when you said about journalists and journalists have to be careful with the language, like I've been trying to be very careful. I mean, it's very, very clear. It's very, very clear that when we talk about issues of setting a building on light or doing anything that endangers people is incredibly wrong. I think the majority of people that saw what happened to those tents in Dublin would say that's not reflective of who we are. But I think what's happening in Clare, perhaps maybe people can relate a little bit more because it seems to be locals who are just worried. Now, of course, Eamon's referenced the boarding of the buses or the checking of passports, and I think most people also think that's a little bit too far. But we don't want to group all of those sort of three scenarios that I've just mentioned into the one. I don't think that's helpful to the conversation, and I certainly wouldn't want to do that. Suzanne, what's your closing remarks on this topic?
Well, I think it's frankly insulting to say that people will automatically say, no, not in my area. I don't think Irish people are like that. I think people would be welcoming, but they need the information for a start. They need to be part of an ongoing conversation. We need to stop pitting two groups who both have valid arguments and valid reasons against each other. And we need to turn and look at the government and say, what you have done to date is just not good enough. So get to it, get it done. Let's get the houses built. Let's see what your strategy is for bringing in more medical professionals. Let's see what your strategy is for roads, sewage systems, and all of that. And if that's where the argument needs to be at, not pitting two groups against each other and then being surprised when there are outrageous acts being committed.
Hundreds and hundreds of Donegal families can't afford to put food on their table. Food banks, we spoke to a number of them around the county, reporting unprecedented pressure on their services. Working families have to turn up for food because they simply have to. We know that women, because we were told earlier in the week, are having to favour food over period products. That's how bad it has got for them. People that used to donate food to food banks, as I say, these are working people as well, now find themselves contacting these same services for support. Yesterday, we had an emergency appeal from the Letterkenny Food Bank. Their shelves are running dry. They literally can't keep up with supplies because a lot of the shops now have changed the amount of stock that they bring in, probably because of cost increases. They've refined all of that, and there's not as much spare food. And we are told that Ireland is a wealthy country, and we know we've got over 30 billion. I know a lot of this is obvious, but this is people's real lives. I'll start with you, Senator, again, because you are a public rep on this. And it's probably not completely unrelated to our last conversation to some extent, what motivates some people to feel upset. But let's separate it, of course. How can we live in this country with these levels of excess incomes and have people who are working having to roll up and get pasta and beans and tinned vegetables just to feed their families? And I was told it's in the high hundreds of families that are seeking regular assistance, not just one-off because the engine went in the car or something. What can we or should we do? There's no state funding for any of these food banks.
Well, I mean, I can see in my own shopping that the price of food has gone up, and even though inflation's coming down, price of food is still going up, and that is a matter of concern. And absolutely, there are food banks right over the country, and people are in the same situation. Now, we have unprecedented amounts of spending when it comes to the social welfare, and that's not just people on social welfare, but that's family assistance. But if people are struggling, there are supports there, but in the end of the day, we need to see the food prices come down. But it's not just about food. Like if we look into the basket, actually a lot of growers are not being paid a proper price for their food by supermarkets either. And I think they need to be part of that conversation too. So sometimes vegetables are actually sold at a loss in supermarkets in order to get people in. So I think that has to be part of the conversation. Child poverty has been an issue for a long time in Ireland, and that's why we have set up a child poverty unit now in the Department of Taoiseach, which I think is a good thing, and that's the kind of longer term strategy. I know that one of the ministers did meet with retailers who said that we will see food prices drop. We have no caps in this country on the cost of food, and I suppose the whole conversation has been, should we have those? But I think we're likely to see that there'd be competition issues with that.
The government doesn't like it, and it was Neil Richmond that
it could rise inflation, and actually overall then the cost for people of other things then is rising, and so it's more a case that it really probably isn't going to be helpful if the government puts in a cap. But I think we will start to see the prices come down. But I mean, there is quite a lot to unpack there, but I mean, we see that child benefit payments has been an extra child benefit payment this month as well, and we've put a huge amount of money into the budget in terms of supporting families.
But obviously that's not working, because we have the highest rate of child poverty, 200,000 children in this country, 200,000 children, and as I say, we have never had more demand on food bank services. So if we are increasing our spending, it's clearly, I don't know where it's going, because it's not making its way down onto the ground.
Well, I mean, I think, to be fair, it is making its way into a lot.
How is it?
Well, we've had the extra electricity credits of €600. We've had, increases in terms of social welfare, of family, of one-parent family payments. So there has, and working family payments, there have been a lot of increases for people. We've also, as I say, had extra child benefit. We brought down the cost of childcare by 25%. That was the Green Party did that as well. So we are making those moves.
I hear what you're saying, but Suzanne, Pauline, with respect, what you're saying, right, is everything that's seemingly being done. But what I'm saying is, right, of all these hundreds and hundreds of families, that clearly it's not enough, or it's not impacting on them. And if they're listening, hearing about all these extra payments, right, and they can't afford to feed their children, they're going to say, well, what's that senator on about? But I'm going to come back to you in a second, Eamon. We only have a minute each at this point. I mean, again, I can't square the circle. I find it uncomfortable living in a society where we have working people so hard pressed, yet at the same time we're told we're such a wealthy country. I know it sounds bloody obvious, but I find it really uncomfortable.
Listen, we're me and you're saying both now. Something we'll struggle with continually, and I think the ultimate answer behind it all is that's the system. That's the system we're part of, and the swings and roundabouts. We'll be talking about this in 20, 30 years again, and do I have an answer? I've read countless books in economics in this last 2-3 years, and I still don't have an overall solution. We can do the sticky plaster approaches of what Pauline talks about there, but ultimately, it's the system is the system, Greg.
It's changing. Yeah. All right, Suzanne, what's your views?
Well, I suppose the view that I take, and I should start by saying that I'm grateful that there are food banks there to help people in crisis, but I'm also very saddened that they have to be there. And I think there's a wider thing too, because it's not just about feeding your family, putting food on the table. I mean, that's the crisis response to it. But I know from my own family growing up, the most asked question in our house was, "What's for dinner, Mum?" And there would be requests put in for, "Can we have curry tonight?" or what, kind of thing. And for me as a parent, it was very important that I was able to provide that, was able to think about what's good for my children to eat, what do they need? Are they getting everything that they need? And I also think that it's beyond that too. If somebody is working, or if they're on benefits, it doesn't matter. They should be able to do simple things like take their kids swimming and going for chips afterwards, or going to the cinema, and I think we should be focusing on that bigger thing. But it's absolutely shocking to me that people are working, that unemployment has never been so low in Ireland, and people are working and they still don't have enough money, not just to exist, which is what the food banks are giving them, but to actually live.
Yeah,
a
okay.
life.
Suzanne, it's been lovely having you on the programme. Thank you so much, and hopefully you'll rejoin us again. Suzanne Rogers, Journalism Course Director at Northwest Regional College. Thank you very much indeed. Pauline, thank you very much as well. I know it might feel like you're the lightning rod because, you know, you're a member of government and all, but it's not intended like that. It's hopefully to be a constructive conversation that we can all move forward with. But thank you so much for accepting the invite. Yeah, okay, lovely. Okay, thank you very much, Senator Pauline O'Reilly. And last but not least, Eamon McGee, take care of yourself. Great to see you.
Cheers, thank you. Take care.
We'll be back with more after this break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Do you know what I love about Letterkenny Shopping Centre? I love it because everything I need is under one roof. There's fashion shopping for women and men, health foods and cosmetics, Tesco's and Pennies, free parking and late night shopping Thursday and Friday. I love it because Letterkenny Shopping Centre has it all, including homeware, jewellery, hair and beauty and Revolution Laundry and their free car park. Letterkenny Shopping Centre. So much choice and open 7 days.
Most people say that Donegal is the coolest place on the planet, but up here we know that sometimes it can be the coldest. Charles Brunner & Sons Ballybuffet is the one-stop shop for all your heating needs. We have a huge range of multi-fuel and wood pellet stoves and ranges, spare parts for all major stove and range brands, plumbing and bathroom ware, all at exceptional prices. So visit our showrooms where our friendly and experienced team will be ready to help you. Charles Brunner & Sons Ballybuffet and the stovestore.ie, where you can always do a good deal better.
Donegal Vintage and Working Day Association present a charity truck run and strongman competition at the grounds of Reform Mart this Saturday, May the 20th. There's a full timetable of events including sheep shearing, truck show, vintage car and tractors, strongman, truck run and many more other attractions. Plus jiving from 7:30, followed by Jimmy Buckley and his band from 10 till late. It all happens this Saturday the 20th at Reform Mart.
Harkins have been providing customers with quality fireplaces, stoves and electric fires for over 30 years. And now you can experience the elegance of luxurious worktop from Harkins. Their experienced craftsmen can fabricate marble, quartz or granite worktops to your specification. So, if you're planning a new kitchen or bathroom or upgrading your existing one, Harkin Fireplaces can provide a quote for your quartz, marble or granite worktop. Visit their showroom in Ballybogan, Lifford or call 9141109 or visit them online at harkinfireplaces.ie.
The Clanry Hotel presents their wedding showcase this Sunday 21st from 2 to 5:30pm. Meet our dedicated wedding team and make your dream wedding come true. No appointment necessary. That's the Clanry Hotel wedding showcase this Sunday from 2 to 5:30pm.
Now, I've been asked to mention that if you're over 70 or 70 or over or have a weak immune system, check out the free walk-in COVID-19 spring booster vaccination clinics running in the Dunloe Vaccination Centre today from 10:30am to 4pm. No appointment is needed for these clinics. Your booster will top up your immunity against COVID-19 for the months ahead, protecting you from serious illness. Another booster will be offered in autumn to protect you over the winter months. And please remember to bring a photo ID that shows your date of birth to check clinic times. And for more information, visit hsc.ie/walk-in. We're back with more after the news and obituary notices.
Your COVID-19 booster vaccine clinic update, brought to you by the HSE.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, this is Highland Radio News with Donald Kavanagh. It is just approaching 10 o'clock. Just bear with me one moment, please, if you would. Votes cast in the North's local government elections are being counted at the moment. There are 40 candidates chasing seats in Derry City and Strabane District Council. If I can just ask your indulgence, please just bear with us. We're going to take a very short break. We'll be back in just a moment. Apologies for that. It's just gone 10 o'clock. The Marine Casualty Incident Board has published a report into an incident involving kayakers on Mulroy Bay last year. The report finds that safety protocols were overlooked, resulting in the kayaks capsizing, posing a threat of death or serious injury. With more detail, here is Tara Duggan.
On Saturday, the 19th of March 2022, a group of 6 kayakers set out on a commercial guided trip on Mulroy Bay. The trip organiser and 5 clients were present. The clients were adults who typically lacked kayaking experience, with only one dressed in a wetsuit. The remainder wore clothing such as jeans and winter coats. In addition, one client couldn't swim. It was also revealed in the investigation that the trip organiser did not hold the relevant kayaking instructor qualifications. All kayaks capsized when wind speed increased and the sea state deteriorated. 2 clients in the double kayak were able to right their kayak and make their way to the other side of the loch. A further 2 clients also made their way separately to shore, one having to swim for 20 minutes. The remaining client and trip organiser drifted in the water for roughly 1 hour after losing contact with their kayaks. They required hospital treatment but were released later that day. The alarm was raised by a member of the public who witnessed the distress on the water. The MCIB has made safety recommendations addressed to the trip organiser, Canoeing Ireland and Sport Ireland, Waterways Safety Ireland, the Minister for Transport and all providers of paddle sports activities.
The counting of votes is continuing in the North's local council elections. The ballots cast yesterday will elect 462 councillors across 11 areas. There are 40 seats to be filled on Derry City and Strabane District Council. A man is due before Derry Magistrates Court charged in connection with a fire in the city this week. The 73-year-old's been charged with arson and arson endangering life with intent. The fire was reported in a house on Chamberlain Street at around 10:20 on Wednesday night. There were no injuries and the fire didn't spread to any other buildings. The Donegal Local Development Community Committee is urging people to participate in a consultation on the local economic and community plan that will guide development until 2029. Leader and Peace Plus plans are also under discussion. Events are being hosted in 9 venues across the county over the next week, at which people are being invited to comment on the goals of the plan. Councillor Niamh Kennedy is chair of Donegal LCDC. She says it's an important discussion and the hope is people and communities will be at the heart of it.
It must come from the people, our people and our place. And people and place is mentioned so much. Some of the topics that are coming up already are youth retention. How do we keep our young people? Childcare came up quite a lot. Transport in the county has come up. Looking after our older people. Obviously, housing is huge. Small and medium enterprises is also huge. And it's trying to, make sure that nobody is left out.
2 men in Derry have been charged to court following a seizure of suspected drugs with an estimated street value of £50,000 and £20,000 in cash on Wednesday night. The men aged 36 and 38 have been charged with possession of a Class B controlled drug, possession of a Class B controlled drug with intent to supply, and possession of criminal property. The 38-year-old is also charged with transferring criminal property. They're due before Derry Magistrates Court later today. A 36-year-old man, also detained, remains in custody. And the Education Minister has told the State Examinations Commission the Leaving Cert results should be released in August. Currently, students sitting the exams don't know when they'll be able to get their results. Last year, students were forced to wait until September 2nd, 2 weeks after they're traditionally issued. Well, Minister Norma Foley says while she's outlined her position, a date is still unclear.
It is my absolute preference that the date for Leaving Certificate would be within the August time frame. I know they're working very, very hard to ensure that that will be the most likely outcome, and I would anticipate that we will be in a position to make an announcement in the not too distant future in relation to it.
Well, the forecast mostly cloudy with patches of mist and fog this morning, staying largely dry for the day with occasional sunny spells developing. Top temperatures 15 to 17 degrees Celsius with a light northwesterly breeze. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 11 o'clock. Until then, from the news team, have a very good morning.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Donegal start the All-Ireland Series this Saturday afternoon in Ennis against the beaten Munster finalists Clare. With games to come against Derry and Monaghan, a Donegal win in their opening game would help put them on track to progress from the group. Join Oisin Kelly and Martin McHugh for full match commentary on air and online at highlandradio.com from 1:45 this Saturday. Live coverage of Donegal and this year's Senior Football Championship is brought to you by Highland Motors in Letterkenny with the 100% electric Renault Megane E-Tech, 220 brake horsepower and up to 450 kilometre driving range. Now available for test drive and immediate delivery.
For the biggest names in perfumes and aftershaves, visit McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Dior, Armani and Hugo Boss, Victor and Rolf, Marc Jacobs and Lancôme. Also Gucci, Yves Saint Laurent, Prada and many more. From timeless classics to celebrity favourites, there's a perfume or aftershave for everyone at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny and online at mcgees.ie.
Is the appearance of your staff important to your business? It's the first point of contact for customers when entering your premises. At C&M Embroidery in Letterkenny, they have a huge range of clothing covering all areas of the workplace. It's widely known that customers warm to and trust employees that present themselves well. Have your company name embroidered or printed on all your work uniforms. Contact C&M Embroidery on 07491 28097 and get your staff looking their best.
With July only around the corner, we would like to invite you to iMotors 232 sales event on the 19th, 20th and 21st of May in Letterkenny with special offers available across the weekend. Call up and test drive any of our Kia range and find out why Kia is Donegal's best-selling brand. Live broadcast with Highland Radio on Friday, free pizzas all day Saturday and refreshments available all weekend. Check out our full range at imotors.ie.
Now, you're very welcome back to the programme. As you may have gathered, technology let us down. We had a computer crash there just as we were handing over to the news at 10. So fair play to Donald for getting everything sorted. And it's all been resolved now. So, of course, we are going to take a pause now as we bring you the obituary notices.
The obituary notices this Friday morning, May 19th. The death has taken place of Herbert Herbie Spear, 42 Woodside Road, Killetter, Castlederg. A service of thanksgiving for the life of Herbie will be held in St Bestius Parish Church tomorrow at 2 p.m, followed by interment in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to St Bestia's Church Bright and Beautiful Restoration Fund, made payable to Robert Armstrong and Son funeral directors. The death has taken place of Annie Teresa Rooney, Killymuir convoy. Remains are reposing at her late residence. Funeral leaving her home tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. for funeral mass at 2 o'clock in St Mary's Church convoy, with interment afterwards in the family plot in the old cemetery convoy. Family time from 10 p.m. tonight and before the funeral tomorrow. Rosary is this evening at 9 o'clock. The death has occurred of Charlie Harkin, New Eltham, London and Glenties. Charlie's remains will repose at Shovlin's funeral home Stanfield Ardra this evening from 4:30 p.m, with removal at 6 o'clock to St Connell's Church Glenties for 6:30. Funeral mass tomorrow morning at 11 a.m, followed by committal in the family plot in Kellybeg Cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Irish Heart Foundation, care of James McGuinness and Sons funeral directors. The death has taken place of Bernadette McDade, Seaview Terrace, Glengad, Malin. Remains are reposing at her home. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. tonight and on the morning of the funeral. Bernadette's funeral mass will take place tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. in St Mary's Church, Lag, Malin, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, donations if desired to Medical 3, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member. The death has occurred of Kathleen Keeney, ní Friel Cashel, Glencolmkill, and formerly of Fanahan, Inver. Remains reposing at her late residence in Cashel, Glencolmkill from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. today and tomorrow. Funeral mass on Sunday at 1 p.m. at St Columba's Church, Cashel, followed by burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The funeral mass will be streamed on ncnmedia.tv. The death has occurred of Margaret Maggie Kelly, ní McCloskey, Upper Tivic Voy, Stranorler, and formerly of Blairstown, Castlefin. Remains are reposing at her late residence with Rosary at 9 o'clock. Funeral leaving from there tomorrow afternoon at 1:15 p.m. for Requiem Mass at 2 o'clock in the Church of Mary Immaculate, Stranorler. Interment afterwards in Drumbo Cemetery. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live via the parish webcam. Family time from 10 p.m. tonight and before the funeral tomorrow. The death has occurred in Livingstone, Scotland, of Anna Mitchell, ní McCarran, Mina Tochin, Dunlow. Funeral mass will take place in Livingstone on Thursday, May 25th. The death has occurred in Castle Milk, Glasgow, of William Burke, formerly Montfad, Newton Cunningham. Prayers will be offered tomorrow evening at 6:30 in All Saints Church, Newton Cunningham. Mass can be viewed on newtoncalais.ie. Funeral will take place in Glasgow on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. with cremation afterwards. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Super Value makes saving money as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. We match Aldi on the products you love. 2. Great special offers like Huggies Pure Wipes 12-pack $8.50 and selected Bold 2-in-1 Liquid $9.50. Exclusive to Real Rewards members only. And 3. Money off vouchers every week on the app. So follow the 1, 2, 3 and save money at Super Value. T's and C's apply.
And you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Good morning. If you're just after joining us, we're all back to normal now again. Thanks very much for all of you getting in touch in the last hour. Coming up a little later on, we have got Michael and Fanula in, of course. That's entertainment, but also a very special guest, actually, in the form of Jason Quigley. Jason is in training, obviously, for a big fight coming up next month. But of course, he'll also be very interested in what is happening in the Three Arena on Saturday night, and that is Katie Taylor's long-awaited homecoming. She is in a really tough fight on Saturday night, so Lots of you out there will be watching. It's one of those kind of events that even if you aren't a big boxing fan, that you would probably find yourself tuning into it in one form or other. So we'll see what Jason Quigley thinks of the card in general and Katie's chances against her really, really tough opponents. That's coming up as the show progresses. But I do want to get to some of your comments here now. Suzanne is correct. There's been 2 months consultation with Santry residents before yesterday's announcement to open a refugee accommodation centre there, along with Clondalkin and Dunleary. Unfortunately, some groups demand greater consultation in order to mount a stronger protest. Another, the statement by the Senator that there is consultation is nonsense. The statement that people are wrong to be concerned about a lack of vetting is disingenuous. There is a cultural difference to factor in. The one thing I'll just say about the cultural difference is, if you don't mind, is that we are a multicultural society in this country as well. And there are people of all different cultures that have been living here for decades, and they work in really senior positions in different parts of society, in all parts of society. So we heretofore, even with the presence of different cultures, and there's really strong differences between people that we've contended with in this country for many, many, many generations, as you might know what I'm talking to, and we've always found a way to get on. But this person seems to think there could be an increase in certain types of crime. Okay, thanks for that. Greg, just like the way the government would not listen to the people about water charges, people had to take to the streets once again. The people are not being listened to. Government has to listen to genuine concerns that people have. The issue is there is no limitation to the people coming. The men arrive and the next thing is their families and other relatives are here. Leo and his colleagues don't realise they're changing the entire culture of this country. If I visit Saudi, I obey their culture. Here they arrive and the next thing is I'm obeying their culture. But where is the evidence of that? Again, I'm like everybody else just working through all of this. But where is this? What is Ireland's culture? How do you define that? There's so many of us of different backgrounds. Do you believe that we'll all end up being of a different faith or something? I mean, what is the faith in this country now anyway? And as I say, that's a question, not a counterpoint to you. Like, what is it you're actually afraid of happening? The government is not addressing the problems, believe this listener, but they fairly got it in order when we had the pandemic. Never seen a vaccine rollout so quick. That was a mega crisis globally, and this is the knock-on effect from our pandemic. Greg, would you keep quiet and let Eamon McGee speak and that lady senator? They know what they're talking about. I'm a frequent listener and participator in Highland, but I feel the conversation about people seeking refuge this morning is very worrying. Violence is being accepted because people are frustrated. Violence should never be tolerated. There is zero tolerance of violence. And I'm sorry if it's come across like that. Been very clear to separate the different things that are going on in this country, and grouping them in is where the problem is because then we can't have a conversation, and we have to, because what we're doing up until now in terms of not conversing with each other, you could argue is not working. There is I've not heard one person, except anonymous people on Twitter, say anything other than anything that is violent or puts people's lives in danger is completely and utterly wrong. And this programme doesn't have a leaning one way or other, whether it's one... not in terms of those actions. I'm on about in terms of the broader conversation, what is right or wrong. We're here to sort of try and host a conversation. As I say, I'm just a normal person and I'm just trying to work through this. I'm pretty in the middle. I don't think I'm leaning in any particular political direction, to be honest with you. Fair play to the lady speaker, Suzanne. She is so right. Another brilliant, Greg asking questions the politicians don't want asked, and they're giving bluff for our ears. People are awakened, but unfortunately that's not enough. Greg, you seem to be about 2 minutes away from the very fine people on both sides argument. Violence against these people is completely unacceptable. The fact that Irish people are treating immigrants like this makes me despair. It seems that some people need to learn their history. I'm nowhere near that argument whatsoever, by the way. It's not being housed. They're getting everything handed into their hands for free. Facts down to being turned around. Percent, that's the angering thing. Greg, why do local communities have to be consulted about refugees coming to their areas? The argument being, and this is not my argument, the argument being is that if you consult with them, that they're best placed to say, these are our facilities, these are our services, these is realistically what we could accommodate with their best interests and our best interests at heart. I presume that's what the consultation looks to achieve. But clearly, maybe it delays things too long and the government doesn't engage in that, because if you enter, and I think the Senator referenced this, into a consultation, you could find yourself never being able to actually progress. Another caller says this coalition government was voted in by the Irish people to represent the will and needs of the country. We, the taxpayer, are paying the piper for this government to spend on what they want without consultation. We don't have any room left. When something is full, it will hold no more. This government changes and makes laws to control and penalise the citizens. When the real agenda behind all this is eventually exposed, we will be pulling the hair out of our heads in desperation because we kept quiet and let it happen. I don't know what you believe the actual real agenda is, but anyway. Senator Pauline on your Friday panel has been brilliant for backing up the Clare protesters' fears. Really shows what a total shambles the leadership of this country is. Another, the strong feeling comes from men who are arriving here from countries where women and children hold no respect or value. They think it's acceptable to talk and treat women in this country the same way. Valueless, believes that listener. Thank God you finally have someone on in Suzanne Rogers who speaks the truth. Another, I live in Letterkenny and a lot of my Irish neighbours have had to move away, and now I'm surrounded by foreign people who barely speak English, and I'm supposed to just accept that this is the way it is. I've become the minority in my own little area. What's the rest of the country like? Another, many of these men are not wandering around towns. Many are staying in the allocated accommodation and trying to live under the radar. Where is the threat from them? Evidence proves that after the initial fears, weeks into them remaining in place, there was no increase in any antisocial issues, and that is the information coming from An Garda Síochána in Donegal as well. What about an incident in our area where a man only recently brought into town not an Irish native. He was caught by locals while videoing children in school playgrounds. People are terrified of these strangers. But that happens all the time, unfortunately. I mean, look what was happening in leisure centres. These weren't foreign people that were in violating people's privacy and what have you. Morning, Greg. The numbers of foreigners coming to Ireland needs to be capped. Far too many being let in with no extra facilities being set up, not enough guards, doctors, school places, etc. for our own people, never mind migrants, they say. And on it goes. A lot of them overlap, but we'll try and get through as many of them as we can as this morning progresses, with a view to sort of having a constructive conversation. But as I say, we have hundreds and hundreds of comments coming in here, but we've an awful lot to fit in because it is a Friday. As I say, coming up later on, we'll try and ease into the weekend, and we'll have Michael and Fionnuala in studio, and as I say, Jason Quigley, all going to plan, will be joining us as well to preview the weekend's boxing action in Dublin. And you don't get to say that very often with everything that was going on in this country for a long time, but we are able to talk about a big boxing event back in Dublin. Many people thought it would not happen so quickly, but here we are. And also maybe get an update on how his preparations are going for his big fight coming up next month.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday the 19th of May. You're playing on the yellow sheet. The reference number is S20. It's game number 20. The numbers are 35, 50, 70, 63, 62, 40, 80, 57, 7, and finally 22. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Growing concern over farm re-wetting. For more in your Farmer's Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
Just weeks before a key vote, farmers have virtually no information on how re-wetting will impact their farms. Last minute push for Suckler scheme places. Call for tax breaks for farmers selling old farmhouses. Tension over higher cost of genotyping for Suckler farmers. And don't miss our step-by-step sheep guide on how to maximise your grant aid.
All in this week's Irish Farmer's Journal, your media brand of the year.
There's fantastic value at Homeland Letterkenny Garden Centre this Saturday, 20th of May, with our Garden Super Saturday. Buy any 2 trees for €65. There's 10% off all fencing. Get 20% off ceramic pots and raised garden beds, only €139. Plus, get 12 packets of seeds free. Shop in-store at Homeland Letterkenny with expert advice from our experienced team. Offers mentioned available this weekend only.
This Friday, Around the Northwest will be coming live from iMotors in Letterkenny for their start of their 232 sale event this weekend. You will have the opportunity to sample and see the new stock for July registration from Kia and Nissan. We will also have some great music, chat and some fantastic giveaways. Join us from 12 for the launch of the iMotors new 232 registration sale weekend.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
OK, residents opposed to plans to develop 8 apartments on a site in the Glencar area of Letterkenny say they will take their case to An Bord Pleanála if it is needed. The concerned residents had a meeting this week and they'll lodge an objection with the Donegal County Council against the proposed development at the corner of College Farm Road. Niall O'Donnell is chair of this group. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you found yourself chair.
Well, I'm a Letterkenny man, Greg, and I was born in Ardodonnell, in the Burma, as it's commonly known, and I've been working in Letterkenny for 43 years in the post office. And all my friends are in Letterkenny. We keep in touch from childhood, from going to school days and stuff like that. And I just love Letterkenny and I love the people. I was heavily involved in the Letterkenny reunion down through the years. And I'm still interested in that and I keep an eye on what's happening. I love talking to people who come back. I love talking to people anyway. I love talking. As many of my friends will tell you, I never shut up. But how did I become involved in this? Well, I live in Glencar, on the road, on the Glencar Road, and I was elected chair at an objection meeting a couple of weeks ago to this development.
And residents from Hawthorne Heights, College Farm Road, Wolftown Road Place, New Line Road and Glencar Road, there's representatives from all of those areas that attended this meeting on this group.
Up as far as Fernhill and Solomon's Court and Ashley Court. They're all represented at the meetings, and they have been various people from all those areas attended 2 meetings, one last week and one last night.
Right. Now, Tuesday night. Proposed development is on a just short of an acre, a 0.8 acre site. It's the former residence of the O'Callaghan family for people in the area. Yeah. And what used to sit on that site was a former bungalow-style house. It was demolished a few years ago, and since then, the site has lay vacant. But there have been other proposed developments for this site, and there have been objections to that as well. So, what are the issues for locals then?
The issues are that this is a quiet road. It's all bungalows. All the people living in the Glencar Road are mostly bungalows. Wolftown Place is there. It was a council estate built in the 50s. It's a residential area. It's a quiet area, but it has become very, very busy. If you know the area, there's roads coming down from College Farm Road onto the Glencar Road right at that site. There are roads coming up from the college and 6 different schools. Just meeting at that site because they're turning back down New Line Road. The New Line Road comes up and meets the Glencar Road outside the site. And the Glencar Road itself is very busy because you have traffic coming down from the Gaelscoil in Glencar. You have traffic coming up and turning round down New Line Road or going on up the Glencar Road just at that site, it's a bottleneck. Now, that's not just at school times. During the day, it's a very, very busy road. There are a lot of traffic, a lot of cars, a lot of buses. You want to see the buses there, especially at school times.
Okay, so my understanding
There's
is...
also
go
big
ahead.
pedestrian traffic. A lot of kids walking down to the college and the convent, and they're up and down, and I see them all the time passing my own house. So the pedestrian traffic, there have been 3 deaths on that road over the years of children. 3 children were killed on that Glencar Road. And, you know, it's a very busy junction.
Okay, now pardon my ignorance, but given how busy this road is, what concerns do you have that 8 apartments might make? Even if each apartment have 2 cars, it's 16 vehicles.
Well, first of all, the 8 apartments are not in keeping with the residential area.
But we were talking about the traffic side of things, and then we'll get...
That's one argument.
Yeah.
There are more arguments than there's just the traffic. I mean, 8 apartments in a point... Think about it. 0.8 of an acre, and you have 8 apartments. No room for parking cars. Can't possibly be if you build 8 apartments. 2-storey buildings. No 2-storey buildings on that road, either up College Farm Road or up the Glencar Road on the same side where that site is. So, you know,
is there a sense that this could be
totally out of sync?
Is there a sense also that this could, because it's out of sync with the area, in your view, that this could be the thin edge of the wedge? In other words, that if this type of development was allowed to progress in that area, that it would see a daisy chain effect, and it would change the entire...
Yeah, that's a very good point. And here that you've hit the nail on the head, Greg. I want to say, first of all, that we're not opposed to development or to the provision of houses, private houses, social housing. We are not, and that was made very clear at the meetings. There's great social housing has been provided in this town over the years, and great private housing developments by different builders. They were all needed, and this must continue in a fast-growing town like Letterkenny. We must welcome development and encourage investment in the town, but not at the expense of contravening any planning laws that there are, and this clearly, and traffic laws, and this clearly contravenes the Donegal Council, County Council planning laws.
But that is with respect now, and as I say, I'm saying this respect, the developer, I'm sure, would argue that this will not get planning permission unless it complies with planning regulations.
Let me tell you something. I was involved in the last objection in 2008, where the guy wanted to build 29 apartments in that same site, cut it down to 19 to try again, cut it down eventually to 11, and then things went belly up and he went bust. So it didn't happen. But the Donegal County Council passed that application in 2008. I don't know, the Donegal, you see, if I look for planning permission for a house out the road, Greg, or if I look for a planning permission for a house, a site in the town, I have all sorts of hoops to jump through to get that planning permission, and the planning officers will examine very carefully all the things that I have on my little plan for my little house, and they'll turn me down very quickly if it isn't up to the planning laws that there are. Now, the planning laws for Donegal County Council clearly states that this kind of development is not acceptable in a residential area. So, I mean, it's there's no question here. There's no big mystery here. This guy wants to build 8 apartments in 0.8 of an acre. It is totally contravening the planning laws of Donegal. In the Donegal, no, not in my opinion.
Yeah, but it is. No, I have to say, you don't. So no, you're not liable if anything is said inaccurately. I am. I understand that that's your point of view.
That's
okay,
my point of view. But
I
that is also the county council plan.
Yes, but if it is afforded planning permission, then it does comply with the planning regulations, and you're perfectly entitled to your view. But I also have to state that no one here is knowingly or willfully contravening the planning laws. I just have to be very careful. But you have your opinion, and that is perfectly fine. What about the argument being made that this is a prime site, residential site, that Letterkenny is growing really, really fast? Maybe Letterkenny does have to change, but that we need accommodation, and here's 8 units of accommodation on a prime site.
Okay.
And you know, you're holding back development.
Okay, here's the problem, Greg.
Yeah.
On the road that I'm living on, starting with that very site and up the College Farm Road in that surrounding area, on the road I'm living on, just up to the top of the Glencar Road, not the whole way up, there are 10 bungalows, and the people living in those are either widows or widowers, and they're all in their 80s and some in their 90s. Now, they are also, because of the time they were built, they were big sites, at least as big as this one, if not bigger. The fear I have, and the fear that the objection group have, is this guy comes along and he builds 8 apartments, and you're saying, okay, we need housing and blah blah blah, and it's great to have.
The next thing, a house next door goes up for sale, and so on.
And I know, I'll tell you, in the next 5 to 10 years, a number of those houses on the Glencar Road will be coming up for sale.
Yes, I get you. Okay.
So that's what we're afraid of. This is going to set a precedent for further development up the road, and we don't want that.
Now, I think, you know, in terms of previous developments being allowed there by the council, you're probably expecting the council to give permission for this when they make their announcement in June. So with that in mind, you are already committing to raise your concerns with Ombó Pleanála if need be, yeah?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We're actually raising funds at the moment. The residents are. Now, we're representing about, so far, and I think there's more to come on board, because there's another problem further up the road where a developer is building 300 houses, you know, on an already very busy place up there. And I know that those people are supportive of this. So, yeah, we're going to raise funds, and we're going to take this to the bitter end. We're also hiring expert people. I mean, you stated it yourself. I'm not an expert. I know what the planning
I never didn't say you weren't an expert.
Neither of us are. And
yeah,
you don't
I know that. No,
you know, we're talking about contravening planning laws. We will get the experts to decide.
Exactly, and I understand that. Now, there's a further meeting taking place, or was that last night? Thursday night.
Thursday night, yeah.
Right, and you're determined?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. We won't. Well, we have the combats on. We're going to fight this to the bitter end. I mean, I'm one of these people. When I get my teeth into something, I will see it through. You know.
Yeah. Okay.
I can be very
stubborn
awkward
on it. Okay. Tran, some would say.
Tran. I'm very Tran. Yeah. Good man. A good Letterkenny.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Listen, Niall O'Donnell, chair of that group. Thanks for joining us and outlining your concerns, and we'll track the process here. As I say, I did as best as I can that we invited the developer on. I think we did. I presume we did we? Or we're at least in the process of doing so. But to try and put their side of things across to some extent as well. But as you say, people are determined. You're determined, Niall, and there's a long way to go on this. Thanks for calling up.
Thanks, Greg.
Really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate holiday loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Have you heard about Charlie's Chips? They're made from potatoes that are carefully selected, then peeled, cut, and like everything else at Charlie's in Letterkenny, cooked to order. That's why they taste so good. From 12 right through to 8 in the evening, Charlie's at Pierce Road, Letterkenny offer an extensive menu that includes a great selection of gluten-free options, all available to sit in or take away. The next time the hunger hits, pull into Charlie's.
In the next 15 seconds, you're going to find out where is the best place in the Northwest to buy a bed or mattress. It's Restex Beds and Furniture Mountaintop, Letterkenny, where comfort meets style.
Every Dunstores organic sourdough is made with one crucial ingredient there's no substitute for: time. Each loaf is 34 hours in the making, and our whole organic sourdough range is baked in every store every day for everyone. Taste it for yourself with any 2 sourdough loaves, now just €6, including the all-new 100% spelt loaf. Plus, you can save even more with our 5 off 25 grocery vouchers. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used for next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more.
Local Enterprise Office Donegal is hosting a one-day Start Your Own Business boot camp in the Silver Tassie Hotel on Saturday the 27th of May from 9:30 to 5. This short one-day course will provide guidance and information on the key topics relevant to starting your own business. The course costs €50 and includes a light lunch, tea and coffee. For more information and to register, visit localenterprise.ie/Donegal.
The National Famine Commemoration in memory of the victims of the Great Famine will take place at the site of the former workhouse at Milford, County Donegal, on Sunday the 21st of May. President Michael D. Higgins will officiate at the ceremony. This event will be broadcast live on RTE News Now. For further information, visit donegalcoco.ie.
Okay, we're speaking now to Andrea Redmond of Doohery Development. Andrea, thanks for joining us. And like a lot of these conversations, I'll start by saying I wish we were talking in a different context, but unfortunately we aren't. Good morning, Andrea.
Good morning, Greg. Lovely to hear from you. Yes, unfortunately, I'd love to be on here to talk about all the positive things that are happening in Doohery, but circumstances require me to come on and talk about an incident that occurred within the last couple of days where Welcome to Doohery sign, a stone that was erected by the previous committee who was run and chaired by the lovely Manus Elliott and his wife Mary, and wonderful people like Jim Caulfield who run our village shop and Bridie Boner, was destroyed. At the minute we are thinking it's an act of vandalism. The guard is looking into it at the minute, and it comes in the back, Greg, of a number of incidents of criminal damage. And it, as I said, it would be lovely to be on and talk about positive things, but one positive that we could take out of this is kind of the overwhelming support that we've received in social media. We're actually buoyed by, the positive comments by people because we've worked really, really hard in the last 3 years. We're a new committee. We're a small committee, and in the last few months we've been kind of subjected to kind of a series of incidents, and all have been are kind of on the books of the Garda, and they're investigating, and we would really like it, the person or persons who are involved to cease and desist. If they have issues, come speak to us directly.
Well, that's it, though, Andrew.
But
you see, you would struggle to find anyone's motivation for this most recent incident, or if it's the same people or persons responsible for the previous incidents. What is achieved by it, other than attacking the good work of the community and sort of sowing negative seeds? It achieves nothing beyond that. Great inconvenience and disappointment as well, of course.
And costly, because the recent, prior to this, we had a sign at Onamaro, which was vandalised. The sign cost over €700, and funding was provided by Donegal County Council, who've been very, very supportive. You see, this is the million-dollar question. What is their motivation? Because literally, it's not working, because if they think that we're going to go away as a committee, we're not going to back down to bullying. As I say, we have wonderful support in the community, and you just have to look at the social media. We've had two great county councillors who've been supporting us, Michal Collum and Nori McGarvey. We've had wonderful support from other councillors in the Glentees and also council itself and Uterus and Pobal. So their motivation is questionable, because why?
Yeah, exactly. That's the big question. And I think initially maybe it was thought that a car had struck it, which would have been annoying enough, because the person didn't report it or maybe offer to repair it. But the feeling is now that this might have actually been someone might have taken a sledgehammer to it, which is a little bit more premeditated and worrying, I think, Andrea. I've lost you, Andrea, there, unfortunately.
Are you still here?
I have you, yeah. I was just saying, no, you're gone again.
I heard you. I just wanted to say the positive things that we should be talking about, and Durham is an absolutely beautiful village, and the people in it are wonderful. And, things like in the last 6 months, we've raised enough money to buy 2 defibrillators for the village, one that we actually gifted to the National School. We've had a whole series of murals done. We've got heritage photographs. The work that's been done, we have a men's shed that is creating some wonderful pieces for the village who are comprised with some of our new residents or Ukrainian families. Last weekend we had a spring cleanup, and it was so wonderful to see the Ukrainian families and their children and local families. There was the wee McDermott family that came out with twins and a 2-year-old child who went litter picking. In the men's shed were erecting things that they did, like bird tables. And, so there's so much positivity and there's so many wonderful things. People keep commenting. They're coming through the village and they can see the changes and they see how positive, and uplifting it is. And to think that somebody thinks it's okay, to do these things and to attack. Like we've had fruit trees, for example, that have been destroyed, have been ripped out. So it's their motivation is seriously questionable.
So
Greg.
anyone with any information, bring it forward to An Garda Síochána, or if those who are responsible want to meet and have a conversation or something, whatever it takes to get to the bottom of this and end it, the sooner the better. And we'll speak again about the positives, Andrea, whenever you like, as it relates to what's going on in Doohery, because I think whilst it's important to highlight when, we need some help to get to the bottom of something, I think it's also important too that we highlight the positives. And you've done a good job on that today. Thanks, Andrea.
Take care. You have a lovely weekend, Greg.
You too, Andrea. Take care. Andrea Redmond there. 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and texts to that number. Or give us a call on 07491 25,000.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Don't waste time. Have your say on the National Waste Management Plan. This plan, by the local authorities of Ireland, sets out a path for our transition to a circular economy to reduce pressure on our natural resources, increase reuse, repair and recycling, and promote sustainable growth. We want your view on Ireland's plan. Go to mywaste.ie.
If you're 70 or over, or have a weak immune system, it's time for your spring COVID-19 booster vaccine. Your spring booster will top up your immunity against COVID-19 for the months ahead, protecting you from a serious illness or needing to go to hospital. You will be invited for another booster in the autumn to top up your protection for the winter months. Spring boosters are available until the end of May, so don't delay. Contact your local participating GP or pharmacy. Call our team in HSC Live on 1800 700 700. Or visit hsc.ie to make an appointment at a HSC vaccination centre. From the HSC.
Connect Hearing is open for free hearing tests. Our audiologist is available Monday to Friday for wax removal services at our Letterkenny Clinic in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. We also offer a home visit for those who aren't able to visit us. Our hearing is our social sense. Are you finding hearing more of a challenge? Call Ursula today on 07491 13296 to make an appointment. Good hearing helps us to connect to our family, friends and loved ones. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
Donegal start the All-Ireland Series this Saturday afternoon in Ennis against the beaten Munster finalists Clare. With games to come against Derry and Monaghan, a Donegal win in their opening game would help put them on track to progress from the group. Join Oisín Kelly and Martin McHugh for full match commentary on air and online at highlandradio.com from 1:45 this Saturday. Live coverage of Donegal in this year's Senior Football Championship is brought to you by Highland Motors in Letterkenny, with Renault Master vans available for immediate delivery. Get the perfect vehicle for your business at Highland Motors.
Okay, welcome back to the programme. Mary joins us on the programme now. Good morning to you, Mary. Thanks for taking the call today.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you keeping, Mary?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Keeping very, very busy. Busy.
And I would say heading into tonight, a special event in the Halfway House in Burnfoot in memory of your husband, Kevin Little, who died last year. It must be just a whole washing machine full of different emotions swirling around there, Mary, is it?
Yeah, there's a lot of emotions, but I've got a good family behind me, loads of good friends, and I've got so much support. It's just unbelievable. And just getting tonight over will be a big hurdle, but I'm looking forward to it, and I think it's a good cause as well, what we're doing.
Yeah, tell us a bit about Kevin.
My husband?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was... he loved life. Everybody loved Kevin. He was just a nice man, and he was very young at heart. He was 73 years of age when he died, but he didn't act like a 73-year-old.
Good, okay.
He was a mechanic. He had his own business for a while. He did, panel beater. He was well known in Derry, and then he was well known then in Donegal, Burnfoot area when he met me.
You imported him, did you?
Well, no, I didn't actually import him, but we used to do a bit. We exported the weekend over the border.
Oh, very good. Okay.
Do a lot of visiting and entertaining in Donegal.
Yeah, and this time last year, you were away on holiday, and very sadly, Kevin passed away. And it's a very difficult time when it happens at home or close to home, but particularly when it's far away. And you were able to call on the services of the Kevin Bell Trust, which is just an amazing charity, to help with the logistical side of things in terms of repatriating someone, taking someone home. And with that in mind, tonight's event is to support the trust and, of course, to remember Kevin. And I'm sure there's a lot of people with a lot of stories that will be sharing them tonight as well.
Oh, yeah, I would say, yeah. No, we contacted Kevin Bell. Actually, it was a friend of mine contacted them first when they heard what happened. I'm big into Unison.
Okay, if we lost that line to Mary, hopefully it will come back, will it?
Kevin financially at Kevin Bell Memorial, but for the support and the information he gave us was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, at a very difficult time, isn't it? And maybe, was it on reflection that you sort of realised that what would we have done without them, sort of a thing?
Yeah, on reflection, they were so good, but I just thinking all the people, especially young people, are away and they don't think about the insurance and getting you back home again. Like my daughter Hannah now, she's back here at the moment, but she's out in Australia. She's like a travelling nurse working out there. Look, if anything happened to her or anything like that there, you don't get the holiday insurance for that.
That's it, yeah.
And it's just unbelievable how many people he's brought home altogether. It's 1,533 people to Ireland, the 33 counties of Ireland.
And I've spoken to them a couple of times in different places in studio, and I think out in London, and they're just so unassuming. It's astonishing through their own grief too. Let's not forget what they've achieved. So talk to me about tonight, because really why we're talking, Mary, it's a great opportunity for people to have a good night out in memory of your husband, but also to help support the Kevin Bell Repatriation Trust. So tell us about tonight. It's in the halfway house in Burnfoot.
The doors is opening at 7:00 and kick off at 8:00. Mickey Doherty from Derry, who was a great guy for the charities and a wonderful entertainer. Mm-hmm. He's the lead there tonight. He's going to be the commentator and keeping things going. We have Yvonne Holmes on first to do a hour or so. Then we've got Bracken on. And then we're finishing off. Then High Heels is going to play for a while. And then we're having a disco then. Mike Henry is going to be doing the disco for us. Him and my brother-in-law, Tony.
So it's going to be a cracking night, isn't it?
We have fantastic door prizes.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do an on-house raffle as well on the night. So it's £10 for the ticket, and that gets you in the door. And it gets you into 15 draws for prizes. They're all £200 upwards and downwards. And none of the door prizes is under €100. And a value of €100. But we've got great support from local businesses, and it's amazing how many people have rang me up and said put them down or buy tickets. Brilliant. And just unbelievable.
Brilliant, great stuff.
And thanks to Lawrence and Arlene for hosting it for us tonight.
Excellent. And you want a full house? I mean, there are people that will have bought tickets that can't make it, but there's tickets available on the door, and you want to have a full house, and because it's going to be great crack as well. Kevin would have enjoyed the night, would he? Is he that type of
Kevin would have loved it.
Middle of the dance floor.
Well, I don't know about being in the middle of the dance floor, but he would have been.
He'd have been in his element. Well, listen, Mary, have a lovely evening and have a lovely time remembering Kevin with your family and friends. And I'm sure there'll be lots of fun as well. And as you say, people can go along for a great night of entertainment. And also, as you mentioned, there's some cracking prizes to win. Yeah. So it's going to be...
They can pay at the door as well.
Excellent. That's the place to be. It's the Halfway House, Burnfoot tonight. That's just the way we'll leave it. All right, Mary.
Yeah. Right, thank you very much,
have
Greg.
a good evening. Bye-bye. Take care of yourself. Okay, Mary Little there. Get along if you want. As I say, it's a good night out there, no doubt about it. Tonight in the Halfway House in Burnfoot. It's in memory of her husband, Kevin, and also to raise money for the Kevin Bell Repatriation Trust, who helped with the logistics of returning Kevin home from holiday to his home. They're a great outfit, just no doubt about that. Right, let's get through some of your comments here, and I want to just I don't filter comments, but I know there's going to be certain people more motivated to text than others, so trying to get a good balance of where we're at here. Suzanne is a great speaker and speaking in layman's terms as her own experience. Fair play to her. A caller says, I've never heard such waffle from the Senator. She conveniently forgot that it's policy for no consultation. All these do-gooders, why don't they take in the male refugees in their homes? She made many other claims that, as far as I can make out, she couldn't back up by facts. Well done, Greg, for putting some tough questions to her. Not that they were answered. That comes in from Caroline. Greg, sad to see some politicians have joined in with the popular call to keep Father Paddy Dunn in Kilmacrennan. I thought the days of the priest-politician alliance of scratch my back and I'll scratch yours were resigned to the dustbin of Ireland's grim past. I could be wrong. I hope so. My advice is that politicians should stay away or at the very least take a back seat from tonight's vigil in Kilmacrennan, as their motives may be misconstrued or maybe not. You know, I mean, I don't know which people you're talking about because I'm not from the area, but these people presumably are from the area and live in the area and have families in the area and probably have a relationship like the rest of the congregation with Father Dunn. And I understand where you're coming from, but I personally wouldn't question their motivations because they're speaking on behalf of the community. Like, we've got no press releases on it as such. Do you know what I mean? So it's not being treated like a story that might be by a politician. But as I say, I genuinely don't know exactly what you're referencing to, but that's just my gut feeling. Morning. Could a lot of the Ukrainians not go back now to their own country? More than 3/4 of it's absolutely fine. Again, I understand where someone might be getting that information, but it's really... And then people might say, well, I don't trust the mainstream news. But listen to what's coming out of Russia, if that's a better way of doing it. Russia announced daily where in the country they target. They release maps. They let people know, for the most part, in terms of how many missiles they have struck. So... you know, have a look at that information and bring it all in, and then see if you still feel that most of it's fine. They're bombarding all different parts of Ukraine with missiles, and if it were me, and I'm trying to protect my sons, my 2.5-year-old, and a bomb hit Sligo, a bomb hit Derry, a bomb hit Cork, a bomb hit Kerry, would I sit in the middle of Letterkenny with my child saying, sure, look, they're not bombing here? No. I would probably pack up and try and take them somewhere safe. Maybe I'm a chicken, or maybe that makes me weak. I don't know. But if bombs were going off in all of those places, missiles were landing all of those places that I talk of, that water had been cut off, that electricity was intermittent, and I didn't know at what point what type of a bomb could drop on me and my family in Letterkenny, would I hang about? My gut tells me, if I'm going to be honest, and I try as best as I can to be honest, would I hang about? No. If it was only in Dublin that was being targeted exclusively, maybe you might roll the dice. But as I say, there's missiles striking cities all over Ukraine. Would I sit in a city that hadn't yet been bombed? They bombed the city of the Eurovision entrance for the first time and only time on the night of the Eurovision. But anyway, everyone has their own opinions, don't they?
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Are the signs of aging creeping up on you? Are you not happy with the way you look or feel? At Letterkenny Medics Private Clinic, we're here to help you, offering Botox anti-wrinkle injections, derma fillers, skin bio injections, Botox treatment for grinding and clenching teeth, hyperhidrosis that aids excessive sweating. Let our doctors help bring back your confidence and look after what is important to you. To see what real results really look like, book your immediate appointment with no waiting times at letterkennymedics.ie. Letterkenny Medics, we listen if you want to talk.
Hello, I'm David Foley, medical herbalist. Are you suffering with stress, anxiety, insomnia? Then ask for Irish Botanica Peace and Calm, a traditional herbal remedy. Irish Botanica Peace and Calm has a naturally relaxing effect, ideal for stress, insomnia, jet lag, and pre-exam anxiety. Call us a natural way, Letterkenny Shopping Centre for more information.
What's the difference between the BMW iX and iX3? What's the range of the BMW i4? How do I charge at home? Do I need a wall box?
If you've got questions about switching to electric, then join your local BMW retailer on May 20th for our Find Your BMW Electric event. It's your chance to speak to the experts and test drive an all-electric BMW. Search for your local retailer to register your interest. Test drive subject to conditions and availability.
Donegal Town Hardware is having a massive fencing and paving 2-day sale event this weekend with huge discounts on paving and 15% off smart fence. Compost decking and timber decking also reduced, plus savings on posts, D-rails and pickets. Paving and smart fence experts will be in store on Friday 19th. That's the massive fencing and paving sale event this Friday 19th and Saturday 20th of May at Donegal Town Hardware.
Join Mike Denver and guests live at the Abbey Hotel, Donegal Town, this Friday the 19th to Sunday the 21st of May. Friday, 4 hours of dancing with Jimmy Buckley and band, Mike Denver and band, and Billy Mack. Saturday the 20th, it's Kieran Rosny and band, Mike Denver and band, and Sinead Black. Sunday the 21st of May, afternoon dancing with Mike Denver and band from 3 to 5 p.m. Tickets at the door for each show.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
Okay, we're heading into the last hour of the 9 till noon show for this week. Let's get a news update at 11 o'clock. It's Good Morning to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Marine Casualty Incident Board has published a report into an incident involving kayakers on Mulroy Bay last year. The report finds that safety protocols were overlooked, resulting in the kayaks capsizing and posing a threat of death or serious injury. The full report is available on our website, highlandradio.com. The counting of votes is underway in Northern Ireland's council elections. The ballots cast yesterday will elect 462 councillors across 11 areas. There are 40 seats to be filled on Derry City and Strabane District Council. A man is due before Derry Magistrates Court charged in connection with a fire in the city this week on Chamberlain Street. The 73-year-old has been charged with arson and arson endangering life with intent. There were no injuries and the fire did not spread to any other buildings. An orthodontic consultant cannot perform assessments due to a lack of resources and hasn't been able to since last March. That's according to Donegal Deputy Thomas Pringle. Deputy Pringle raised the issue of long waiting times for an orthodontic care in Donegal to the Taoiseach in the Dáil yesterday. He said his office has received many complaints, one patient waiting 4 years for an assessment and another who said the condition of her child's teeth is now beginning to affect their mental health. The Donegal Local Community Development Committee is urging people to participate in a consultation on the Local Economic Community Plan 2023 to 2029. Leader and Peace Plus plans are also under discussion. Events are being hosted in 9 venues across the county over the next week, at which people are being invited to comment on the goals of the plan. And finally, 2 men in Derry have been charged to court following a seizure of expected drugs with an estimated street value of £50,000 and £20,000 in cash on Wednesday last. The men aged 36 and 38 have been charged with possession of a Class B controlled drug, possession of a Class B controlled drug with intent to supply, and possessing criminal property. The 38-year-old is also charged with transferring criminal property. They are expected to appear before the Derry Magistrate Court today. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back again with more at 12 o'clock. And until then, good morning.
Okay, Donna Marie, thank you very much indeed for that.
Julia, thanks for waiting there because I'm back with a banger of a car and home insurance quote for you. Jules, my sis lives near you and the potholes are a nightmare. They just are.
Why is it so hard to get a good deal on simple car or home insurance?
Well, getting a quote from An Post Insurance is never this hard. For car and home insurance that's a little more human, call 0818 22 2222 or visit anpostinsurance.ie.
You feel me on the potholes, Jules, yeah?
Acceptance criteria, terms, conditions apply. One Direct Ireland Limited trading as An Post Insurance is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. One Direct Ireland Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of An Post. Home insurance underwritten by Aviva Insurance Ireland DAC. Best prices online.
Okay, you're very welcome along to the final hour of the 9 till noon show for this week, which means we chill out a little bit in the company of Michael Leddy. Good morning to you, Michael. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, thank you for having me.
His right-hand woman, Michaela Clark, no, Fanula Rabbit.
She wishes.
I called her Fanula earlier on, and she said to me, she wishes.
Oh, and I love it. She's at least 30 years younger than me, if not more, so I'm feeling good about myself today.
And coming up a little later on as well, Jason Quigley will be joining us to preview the big night of boxing in Dublin on Saturday night, which is what I'll be watching. But what have you been watching this week, Fanula? Steeltown Murders?
Yes, this just started, and I actually came across it by accident on Monday evening. You know, sometimes when you're kind of sitting around, you're trying to figure out what's on, and Sky Atlantic used to always be a great place for the Monday evening big drama that they did, but they haven't brought out one in a long time. So I came across this on BBC. I didn't know anything about it. Sat down to watch it, and I actually really enjoyed it. It's getting kind of mixed reviews from what I see, because I tried to look it up afterwards to see what's going on. But basically, it is another one of these kind of crime based on a true story where it ends up. But I think Michael in particular would like it because it has very much the feel of the Martin Clunes one. That sort of a feel about it. You have this you have the detective played by Philip Glenster, whose name is one that people mightn't really know. But if you see him, you 100% know him. He's like one of these stable British things. He was in that show, which of course now I can't think of the name of it again.
Life on Mars?
Yes.
Life on
100%.
Mars.
He was in Life on Mars. He was kind of the crusty sort of detective in that as well. And you just recognise him. He's a real solid actor. In this, he plays a detective, and it kind of flashes back and forth to a crime that happened 30 years ago when he would have been, I suppose, like a rookie, for lack of a better phrase, in this new department that they had. And now 30 years later, they have reopened it as a cold case, and they're having a look at it. And he and a colleague who was there back in the day, and new colleagues have come on board, and they're looking at this case. As always with these cases, or it seems to be always with these cases, it's the murderers of some young women within this small Welsh mining area. And so basically that's what it's about.
And it looks well shot, it looks gritty and well produced.
Yeah, it does. No, it really looks very good. It kind of flashes back and forth in time. So in the beginning, it kind of takes you a minute just to make sure that you're 100% who's the young...
I like that.
As in who the people are.
They need to spoon feed me that stuff.
Yeah, you need to kind of take a second just to make sure. Oh, no, that's definitely him younger, and that's him younger, and kind of working it out in your head. This case is apparently, because obviously, what should I do then but Google it? There is a lot of stuff.
Don't ruin this for me, because actually this is one I might watch.
I watch it too. No, I'm just saying there's a lot of twists and
You're
turns.
very good. You know, he was terrible for spoilers in the past, but anyway, you changed him.
No,
you were at the beginning, Michael.
No, I wasn't.
It's
you think that, but it actually wasn't like that.
Well, there you go. You do know what I'm trying to say.
I feel like
this is a four-parter, and judging by what I've read about the case around it, I think it absolutely could fill more than a four-parter, because there's a lot of different stuff that happens, ups and downs throughout the case. And it actually was, which again, like a lot of these things that we don't realise in the background, was actually quite groundbreaking.
Yeah.
And had kind
it was the cold case that made the headlines.
It sort of created new law and different things like that. So it's very, I'm really looking forward to it. There's some really solid acting in it. The story is good. It's shot really well. It has that kind of, goes from sort of a 70s to a now feel, that sort of a look about it. And I really enjoyed it.
It's officially on my list. And it is one episode in, is it?
It's just one episode in. So I found actually even just people, because I know I'm always saying I don't have the BBC Player, which is my bane in life. But Sky have actually gotten a bit better, as in just showing the one. You won't be able to watch the 4 of them in a row. But if you have like Sky, so I'm sure if you have the Virgin or whatever, the different ones that are out there,
you can
they're probably
still do
the same.
Record Link too if you have a Skybox, can't you?
Oh, you
All
can.
that,
You can do all that, but it's sometimes they don't go back. But they've gotten a little bit better for some of the BBC shows, that they'll show just the one that just happened, because it's the same with the RTE. They'll show you the one that's current. They won't go back or forward or anything with it.
So the Steeltown Murders, one episode in. It's the setup episode, really, isn't it? In a full-parter. What are you giving it out of 10? It sounds like it's a...
I tell you, I definitely think it's a grower, as they say.
So.
I really enjoyed it. I'd give it a good 7.5, 8, and I'm looking forward to seeing where the story goes. As I said, I ruin all these things on myself by being able to not Google. But it just looks really interesting, the actual case itself, so I can only imagine what they'll do with it. Because
Steeltown Murders, who did it?
Yeah, exactly.
Googling
how did it end?
Don't Google it.
Have they made a remake of Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid? But it's on the list here
because it's on TV tonight.
It's like early 70s.
73. Very good. Very impressed.
Right.
I have never seen this movie. It's on tonight on TG Car. It's their Friday night Western. So I think, rather than just focusing on streaming all the time, we thought we'd look at some terrestrial TV. And I had been reading up about this movie a couple of weeks ago. I watched another James Coburn movie about a month ago. Big fan of James Coburn. Went down a rabbit hole. Liked that guy a lot. Had never seen this movie. And it's an interesting movie to read up on because before we talk about the plot, behind the scenes was a lot of controversy. So there's 3 versions of this movie. And from what I gather from the runtime, tonight on TG Car, they're showing the acclaimed version, not the original theatrical version, which was slammed at the time and was the only version in existence for about 25 to 30 years.
It's a re-edit, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the director and the studio fell out because of what was happening, and the movie was behind schedule and over budget.
Did people fall out in the 70s?
Oh,
I thought everyone got along until the last 2 weeks.
Peckinpah, he did. He did that a lot with his studios. He did that on another movie I'm going to watch soon, The Osterman Weekend, which also he had to recut. So, this version, the special edition, has only been in existence since 2005. It's a longer version, but it's been, it's one of those things that the movie is reevaluated in more recent years, and a movie that critics slated, they're now saying, actually, this might be his best film. So, what is Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid? It's a true story. Chris Christopherson, James Coburn. It focuses on a very specific incident where Pat Garrett is hired as a lawman by some wealthy land barons to bring in his old friend, Billy the Kid.
Simple.
Very straightforward. And it sets that story up in the first couple of scenes. Like, there's no messing about here. And they meet. I like these sort of films where the rivals meet for like a friendly drink. Pat shows up, they talk. He says, yeah, I've been hired and I'm going to be coming for you. And he leaves. Because he's just telling them, get out of the country, leave, get down to Mexico, whatever. Being a Peckinpah movie, it's got a lot of violence in slow motion and a lot of blood. So you go in knowing his work and expecting that, because I knew his work from other things like The Wild Bunch and so forth. And another one, the name of which escapes me. So I thoroughly enjoyed this the other night. I watched it knowing that it was coming up on Friday night. I think it's either going to be a movie that people have never seen and they should watch it if they sound interested by all of that. But it's also a movie that maybe you've seen, maybe growing up, but maybe you don't realise there's another version that's perceived by everybody as a much better version. It reorganises the scenes and it fills in a lot of stuff that Peckinpah wanted in, but the studio were just so annoyed with him that they kicked him off the project and they did a re-edit. 9:00 tonight, TG Car. Yes, it's violent, but if you like Coburn, Chris Christopherson is very good. Bob Dylan acts in it. And Knocking on Heaven's Door,
Okay.
Is
what are you giving it out of 10?
Is from this movie.
Oh, is it really?
It's from this movie. And when they use it, I was very emotional. I got caught up. I was like, and it's quite, I would give it a handy. I was like, oh my God, it works so well.
Yeah.
He does the score for the music as well. I'm not a Bob Dylan fan.
All right,
No,
okay.
I would give it a.
See that all, I just went, you're such a wuss.
I know. I totally am.
You get emotional.
If I tell you what happened when I was watching a Rockford Files movie the other night, I fell apart.
There's no shame in that. Stay where you are. I'll come back for your marks out of 10 because big time boxing is back in Ireland, and it's going to be a huge night, not just for boxing fans, but I think casual fans will be dragged into this as well. Pro boxer, Ladbrokes assassin Jason Quigley joins us. Jason, thanks so much for joining us this morning. How are you keeping?
The very best, Greg. The very best. And yourself?
I am doing good. And before we get into Saturday night, you're in the middle of training camp for your huge fight. I mean, talk about. I know you had a sort of a filler fight, but you're going from one big fight into another. In against Edgar Berlanga on June 24th. 20 wins, 16 KOs. He's a big fighter, a big hitter. You don't do things lightly, do you?
No, I think once you're in the boxing game, nothing comes too easy or nothing comes too handy. So it's an exciting challenge. It's a great opportunity for me to really catapult myself back into that elite position again. And I'm excited for this one for sure, Greg.
Yeah, and it's in Madison Square Garden too, the mecca of boxing. It doesn't get much better than that. You'll have a huge Irish contingent cheering you on. And as you say, when you do the business, this really throws your name up there with all of the top guys in the division.
Yeah, 100%. I'm getting one of the biggest stages on one of the biggest platforms to show the world how good I am, to show myself how good I am, and to put myself right back up where I belong again. And going in there now on June 24th, getting a great victory, coming out with a hands raised is going to really put me up in the mix with the elite in the sport again.
Yeah, okay. And how's the training going? Because obviously, congratulations, by the way, on your recent marriage. But you're full into the training side of things now. You're training here at home. How's that going, and when do you travel out to the States?
Everything's going brilliant so far, Greg. It was I couldn't really have planned things any better with the last fight. We had a good 10, 12-week training camp leading into that fight. Obviously, we had a few opponents fell through leading up to the fight, but we still got a good solid 10 rounds under your belt, and you need that fight fitness after being out for so long after the Andrade fight. And then I had my wedding then 2 or 3 weeks in. I was still training, but I had about 5 days off then in total over the weekend, and a few days off with my new wife. So it was great, and we were just straight back into training camp again. I didn't think I'd be spending my honeymoon in training camp, but here I am, and I'm going to make it all worthwhile. Me and Andy have been drilling combinations, drilling game plans in over the last couple of weeks now, and it's really time now to start ramping it up and sparring, putting everything that we're practicing into play and taking that into fight night.
Yeah, and a brief question with a brief answer, not getting into the ins and outs or anything, but is Andy Lee going to be able to be in your corner for the fight?
Yeah, 100%. We've had visa issues the last couple of times, but Andy has been approved of his visa.
That's a big deal for you, isn't it, to actually have him in the corner standing on this? Because he's a legend. I think he's the best. I think he's the best analysis. He's obviously a superb trainer. But for you to be able to compete the job with him in your corner, that's a game changer almost, potentially.
Without a doubt. Everything that you said, Greg, is a plus having that man in the corner. But having the man that's training you, going through game plans, knowing you inside out over the last couple of years now, and him not being there in the corner with you on fight night, it is definitely a disadvantage. Whereas this time around, I have that full advantage, and we'll be going in there a fully equipped team this time around, and ready to do the job.
Brilliant. I'm delighted about that. Right, Saturday night, it doesn't come much bigger than this. Katie Taylor could have handpicked pretty much any opponent and filled that arena out. In fact, she probably could have filled Croke Park out against a walkover. And I mean that with no disrespect, because anyone who gets in the ring is not a walkover, but I think you understand what I'm saying. Instead, she's probably picked the most difficult fight that potentially is out there. Someone who's bigger than her, someone who's naturally heavier than her, who is a unified champion themselves. We're talking about Chantel Cameron here, who's a come forward boxer that won't give her an inch. I mean, who's younger. Some people think Katie's on the downward. We'll see on Saturday night. I mean, this is a huge task. I mean, you must have. We all admire Katie, but to take this fight at this time is unbelievable, isn't it?
I think this just really shows the true champion that Katie is. And, a lot of people, a lot of fighters out there say, I really appreciate my fans and I really love where I come from and all that here. But it's easy to say that, but Katie's proven that now with her actions. Like, she's putting on one of the biggest fights ever, not only in female boxing, but in boxing in general, male as well. 2 undisputed champions. They hold all the belts in both of their divisions, and the 2 of them is going to be putting them on the line. And usually, like, Katie is the A side, but she's the one that's moving up in weight. She's not making Chantel come down into Katie's weight division.
She never asked. She never asked for a catch weight or for her to come down to Katie's weight. Unbelievable.
Exactly. This shows the type of warrior that Katie is. She has no thoughts whatsoever on like what people's going to be thinking, this, that, or whatever. She's there to put on the best show for the fans and to make it the best homecoming that she possibly can. And that's exactly what she's doing. And yes, exactly as you says, Greg, she did not pick an easy fight coming back here. This is going to be a very, very difficult fight. I do believe that Katie's going to win this fight on points. Katie isn't a big puncher. She doesn't stop a lot of people. So her moving up in weight, I definitely can't see that, moving up and being the smaller opponent and against a bigger fighter. I definitely can't see a stoppage on Katie's behalf in this fight. But I believe that Katie's going to be very in control early on in the fight. Her skills are way above Chantel's. But this is professional boxing, and sometimes in professional boxing, skills aren't always the one that pays the bills.
So how does she win it? Does she, on her bike on the outside, quick combinations in and out, frustrate her opponent, and hopefully the training, obviously she's put the training in that the legs hold out and she doesn't sort of get, tracked down in the later rounds. Is that how you see the pathway to Katie's success?
Yeah, look, I was at the press conference yesterday at Dublin Castle, and Chantel's coach, Jamie Moore, says at the press conference, like, we would be mad to go in there and think that we're going to be able to outbox Katie Taylor, with her skills. And yes, there could be some mind games being thrown in here as well, but, I think it's black and white that Katie is the much superior boxer in terms of skills to Chantel. But Chantel is a really tough operator. She's strong, she's dogged, she's hungry. This is her idol that she's fighting. This has been like when I was talking to one of Chantel's teams, and they were saying that whenever this fight was announced, she was and they first did the face off, she kind of thought to herself, oh my God, that's Katie, but now she has switched that mindset to be like, excuse my language, I don't give a shit here, who this is across the ring. I got to get in there and take care of business. And I was very happy to hear that, because that's the type of mindset that she's going to have whenever she gets in here now. But going to your question, Greg, about how does Katie win this fight, she does have to be up on her toes. She does have to be using her skills, using her jab, not letting Chantel get inside, because that's going to be Chantel's game plan. If Chantel leaves it too late to really push the pace and push the pressure on Katie, then I believe it's going to be a comfortable decision one for Katie. But if Chantel can get inside, tire Katie down early on in the fight and make it a dog fight, then I believe that it's going to be a very close fight.
Yeah, and my concern is Katie has a little bit of you in it, in that, you might say you're going to box a certain way, right? And you tell your coach you're going to box a certain way, and then someone sort of stands in front of you and you decide to stand in front of them and trade. Yeah, I think both of you can be a bit guilty of that at times, Jason.
Of course, definitely. It's I think it must be a trait in us Irish that somebody gives us a challenge and we go all in.
I'm having that. Yeah, I know.
I think Katie, you know, and this is another one as well. I believe, you know, we have seen Katie in the past now in the last couple of fights, and a few people are thinking that she's sliding a little bit. And yes, she might be, but that's natural because of the age of Katie, because of the fights, because of the wear on the tires that she has, you know, through the years. I believe that she might be on the slide a little bit, but being in the 3 Arena, with all the Irish fans there, this is her homecoming. I believe that you're going to see maybe one of the best performances from Katie Taylor now on Saturday night.
That's it. And I won't keep you very much longer. Another great women's fight, Terry Harper versus a legend of women's boxing, Cecilia Backhouse. She's been around for absolutely ever. It's a great fight for Terry Harper too, against a legend, and can elevate herself. But it has the potential to be a real barnstormer as well.
Yeah, and you know, this is one thing that I wanted to say coming on here as well. Like the undercard on this show as well is top class.
Can't wait to see Gary Cully. There's something about him. I'm already a huge fan of his, and I think he's just. I'm interested to see if he changes his ring name, you know, his nickname, because he got a bit of abuse, I think, the last time out, and Eddie Hearn said, right, we're going to have to come up with a new nickname for you. So I'm fascinated to see what they do there. But go on anyway, Jason.
Sometimes this abuse can work out in your favor too. You know, you need to kind of play the villain as well sometimes, and stand out a little bit. Sometimes not always for the right reasons, but you know, the First Lady, as they're calling Cecilia Backhouse, you know, and Terry Harper. You know, these are two great people that are in this sport for good things, and it's great, you know. Boxing has got a lot of slack over the years, and you know, it's always been the bad guys or the bad women, or you know, it's always been, you know, the rough and tough, but we're starting to see a lot of good genuine people being successful in boxing now. You know, Cecilia spoke yesterday at the press conference as well, and says that she really fought hard because professional boxing was banned in Norway. And only recently enough that they got that ban lifted, and she had a 10,000-seater sellout there herself. You know, so it's great to see good people doing good in boxing. But you know, we go to the undercard, like, and you have my stablemate there, trained by Andy Lee as well, Paddy Donovan, who I think is going to be a massive, massive star. He's definitely going to be one to watch out for. He's going to be on the early broadcasting on DAZN. So tune in early, anybody that's going to be tuning in on the DAZN before the bell. It's going to be around 5:30. I'm actually going to be commentating on that for Paddy's fight, which is going to be...
One.
I'm not going to be biased at of one.
Of course, yeah, call it as you say it, not.
Yeah, but Paddy's going to be on that, and he's got a good fight in Sam O'Mason, who is an English fighter. Came in a little bit of late notice, but has fought the likes of Dalton Smith as well, one of Matchroom's biggest prospects. So this is going to be a great time for Paddy to come on and show his skills. And then, you know, you see yourself, you have Gary Cully, who's really standing out at the minute with a lot of knockouts in his last couple of fights. He is, you know, one of those guys that does stick out in the way that he talks, the way that he looks, and you know, he's doing that in the ring as well. And you also have Thomas Carty as well, you know, a big heavyweight Irish lad that is ready to put on a show. And you've got Kevin Aguero, you know, another Irish lad from Belfast, wants to become the first black Irish world champion. You know, so this is great for these young fighters to be getting this type of a platform here in Ireland, and it's only right that they get it, because Irish boxing has been starved, and you know, I'm so happy for the fans.
It's
you know,
great
just
to see
the genuine, Greg, the genuine Irish fans that have followed the sport for so long, that can just jump in the car and drive up to the 3 Arena if they've got their tickets, or just go to the public workout. Even myself, driving to the public workout and driving to the press con, going to the weigh-in now in about another hour's time. So just driving to there, like to these big shows, it's great to have it back in Ireland again.
Listen, brilliant, can't wait for it. I've already got planning permission for the early card, the full card, the whole lot. Saturday night is sorted. We'll listen to you commenting on Paddy's fight as well, and it's going to be a great night. And it is ultimately a great to see big time boxing back in Ireland, and who's to say that this actually does not do a lot of the groundwork maybe for a huge fight here for you, Jason, if all goes to plan. Thanks so much for joining us. It's been lovely chatting to you.
Top class,
right,
Greg.
Bye-bye. Take care, Jason. All right, Jason Quigley there. I've indulged myself. I have to listen to you talking about Marvel and superheroes and universes, and for once I get to talk about something I like.
Oh, I like a bit of boxing.
I could tell. I've never seen you so awake. It was just...
Get out of town, would you? Come here, shall I take a break and then we can get straight back into things? Is that all right? What are you giving Pat?
Eight. I loved
Good
it.
8. Yeah, okay, lovely. And it looks good. It's gritty, as I say.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, before you know this film, obviously, you mentioned you must have seen it on TV.
No, I was Googling it while you were speaking.
Oh, I thought you would have seen it growing up.
No, it was born about 7... It was made about 7 years before I was born.
But it'd be on TV over, you know.
All right, back after these.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
The 9 till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today. Our McCullough Jewelers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre or online at ourmccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. Our McCullough Jewelers, making moments magical for generations.
With more all-electric cars on Irish roads than ever before, now is the time to make your move. Now is the time to follow the leader and choose a Volkswagen ID, Ireland's best-selling range of all-electric cars. And now is the time to choose a Volkswagen ID3, ID4 or ID5, all available to order now for immediate delivery. Discover our latest offers at Volkswagen.ie. Volkswagen. Best-selling claim based on latest published figures.
Breedon's Furniture, Cooley Maville. With over 40 years of experience in furniture and floor coverings, they've got Irish-made furniture, suites, beds, mattresses, dining, flooring, slide robes and occasional furniture. Great prices and large selection now available at Breedon's Home Furnitures, Cooley Maville.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
Well, the time is 11:30, and it's That's Entertainment in the company of Michael and Fanula. And just to remind you that coming up after 12, it's Around the Northwest with John Bresson. John's broadcasting live from My Motors in Drumkeen. The team will be talking to John about their open weekend launching today. They have got their stock secured and ready to go for July delivery with over 232 cars to view. I don't think that's correct. I think it's 232 cars to view. Or maybe I'm right. Maybe it's a great marketing ploy. I don't know. Anyway, they've got lots of 232 cars to view. Tune into the show where you'll get accurate information, not like from me. For more information on this, along with entertainment news, music, and plenty of giveaways. And they have a great weekend. I think they're doing pizzas and stuff tomorrow, if the ads are anything to go by. Right. Okay. So, still on Apple.
I have been really looking forward to this. And because I am a massive Michael J. Fox fan.
Mm-hmm.
Loved him, posters on my wall.
Is that going back to the Future days?
Oh, everything he ever touched back in those days.
Yeah. Oh.
Had him up on the wall, the whole thing. In Family Ties, loved it. He was...
Teen Wolf.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
The Secret of My Success. I mean,
Saw that in the cinema,
Doc
yeah.
Hollywood, even the bad ones were great. But he was one of these guys that a lot of people may not even know a lot about him, because to be honest, he hasn't really been in a lot of stuff now for the last 20 years or so.
Good Wife is about it. The Good Wife.
Yeah, that he's done a few kind of like little cameo pieces in it.
Yeah, did he not have a more significant role in Designated Survivor? No, or was that cameo-ish?
I didn't watch this, so I can only speak to
that
this.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
But most of the stuff he's done is cameo-ish. So Michael J. Fox is the star of Back to the Future. He started off in television. He's a Canadian. Did a lot of different stuff. Did, as I said, played Alex P. Keaton in Family Ties. Why don't they re-show that? I'd love to watch that again. If anybody knows where you can find that online. So he was in Family Ties, and then
he's got a website for that.
Oh, I know. So then he did Back to the Future, and he went into movies, and there was a period there where he was in absolutely everything, and he was like an unlikely kind of a movie star / TV star. He's only, as he says himself, he's only about 5'9", nothing. When he first started off, it was that because he was 17, 18 and he could play like a 9, 10, 11-year-old. He was so kind of small and puny and that kind of in shape and stature. And he ended up being one of the biggest movie stars in America for a period of time, and he was the highest paid in so many things. He had like #1 movies back to back. Everything he touched seemed to be golden. And then when he was in his, I think it was like mid-30s or so, he woke up one morning to find that his little finger was just shaking, and he was unable to stop it, and it wasn't in control of himself. Yeah. And years later, he realised that they found out that he actually had early onset Parkinson's disease. He kept it quiet for years, working on TV, and now he, as I said, he does cameo roles, but he does amazing stuff for the Parkinson Society and fundraising. And they've fundraised millions and millions in order to put into research for Parkinson's. And he just really is a fantastic man, a role model for a lot of things. And he's very open about the mistakes he's made in his life as well, when he kind of went off the rails at different times. So it's just really interesting. He wrote a book, which this is kind of loosely based on, I think, having read the book years ago. And now they've come up with this documentary. The documentary, I loved it. I absolutely adored it. I thought it made you want to go back and watch some of his stuff. But it also was interesting when he gets further into it. And he's very open about the way Parkinson's has impacted his body. While he's doing the documentary, he talks about how when he feels like he's reaching the end of his dosage and it's time for him to take another pill or whatever, and you can like physically see him kind of decreasing in himself, because the lack of I'm not going
whatever
to
the
try to
chemical
attempt the chemical that it is.
And is it? How is the story told then? So it is a documentary, but there's obviously a lot of footage.
You will not like this documentary,
right?
Because the only bad thing about this documentary is that, and we're going to have to, next time we have a documentarian on, you're going to have to ask them, what is it?
They don't have a mic.
Yeah, so annoying. And this is done in a conversation. So why is he not mic'd?
Yeah, so it's not incidental questions.
It's specifically set that he asks the question.
Yeah.
I was just so glad I was watching it because on Apple TV, and I just shows you how technical I am. My Apple TV, when I go into it, it always gives me subtitles, and I'm not sure how to turn it off. But in this, I don't know how to turn it off. Again, if anybody knows how to do that, text. So this was very handy for me because the bloody documentarian kept whispering his questions. Basically what it is it's the camera is set up like the camera is set up in front of you, just staring onto Michael J. Fox's face. The documentarian is the other end of the camera, shouting out different comments that's kind of moving the story forward. Then it's interspersed then with some press footage of him, also bits in the movie. People may remember then towards the end of his, the height of his kind of career, he came back to TV after when the movies kind of started going a little bit astray for him. He came back to TV and he was in a program called Spin City. I absolutely loved it. He kind of played like a spin doctor in a political office. I think it was like the mayoral office in New York or something like that. But it was really, and I really enjoyed it. Always did. They got some great guest stars coming in and out of it. But when I watched it, I had no idea that he was unwell. And they start showing you bits of it while he's talking about how he hid it. And it's amazing now when you see it,
right.
How, and lots of different things, little tricks of the trade that he did, how nobody knew when it released, when it was, how it was like then for them to come out and announce it, to have to let the public know and everything that this was what he was going through. And it just, I really enjoyed the whole documentary.
So is it, it's about him? Or is
it's
this
him
an
with his
awareness
physio, it's him with his speech.
But it's also awareness about Parkinson's then, is it?
Well,
do you think?
To be honest, it is just by the way it's told.
Okay.
It's not actually teaching
That's
you
not its
anything.
focus. Okay,
it's
I
not.
get you.
No, but he does, because it's telling you more about him. You do see him. Like his body moves very jerkily now, and particularly when he's walking. And he's always, if anybody who did watch or was a fan of Michael J. Fox, he was always in his movies and his things running. He's running down corridors.
Always
he's
active
running. He's
and
always
buzzy, yeah.
And all of a sudden, then he's reached, as he says himself, he finally reached a place in his head and in his age and in his maturity, you know what I mean, in his psyche, that he was ready to actually slow down, and then suddenly his body refuses to actually be still.
And what is the status of his condition? It's degenerative, but obviously he would have the access to the best of medicines.
He has it a lot. Now, I do not have any knowledge of this, but I remember at the time when it was announced that he had this, they were sort of saying 10 years, and that by 10 years he would be incapacitated to such a degree. But he seems to be still out and about, enjoying his life. It shows him with his now adult children. It shows him, as I said, he has like a permanent sort of seems to be permanent physio person. It shows him with his speech therapist. It shows him with the different therapies that he goes through, talking to his consultant and that kind of thing about what it is. So it doesn't really focus on the Parkinson's side of it like that.
I get you.
It more focuses, I think, on him as a person, what he was like, how he is like now, how he copes with how he is now. I mean, some parts of it are just tragic, particularly for somebody like me who loved him.
Yeah.
And still does. I mean, he's a great man. But, had posters of him on the wall.
You feel what he has endured in his life more deeply because of your...
Well, at one point they ask him, is he in pain? And he's like, agonising at all times.
And it's been described as astonishing.
It's brilliant. What's astonishing about it is how open he is and how willing he is to let you see the impact that this has had on him.
Okay.
Like, if you watch it, you'll just be stunned that anybody would let it was willing to open up their life in this way, and you'll be like me then giving out about this Guggenheim guy that actually made the documentary and go, seriously, I'm going to send him a mic. I have one upstairs. It was €35. He can use it.
It's so annoying. Kevin says, hi Greg and Guardians of the TV. That's you too. I watched the Michael J. Fox Apple Plus documentary. Still, in what will capture people's admiration is the way in which it was to use scenes from Michael J. Fox's work to portray his actual life, which you've been outlining. I mean, I don't know what family ties had, as it meant to be about the parents, but Michael J. Fox stood out straight away as Alex P. Keaton and his long-suffering sisters. One was Mallory, played by Justine Bateman, sister to Ozark star Jason Bateman. It was certainly a fascinating watch through his life and worth a second watch.
There's something just enjoyable is probably the wrong word when you're looking at when you're seeing somebody talking so openly about the struggles that they've had, but also his kind of his ethos now and his thinking and what he values and that kind of thing, and the changes that have come about with that. He's just really, to me anyways, he just seems like a really admirable person. It was definitely worth the watch, but ruined by the
non-miking of the person who's asking the questions. I mean, it would be like me pulling the mic down now. I have pulled the mic down now, so listeners know what I'm talking about. I'm in the distance for no reason whatsoever. Okay,
it's a strange
marks
thing,
out of 10.
Oh, I absolutely loved it, and I think that people should watch it. It's an interesting, without being trying to teach you anything or without doing anything.
There's awareness that's happening.
And it's just to look at people, the struggles that some people have in their lives and how they manage to overcome it. I would definitely give it a 9 or a 10. I really... Again, enjoyed it is the wrong.
No, it is, because
it just was
that's
like,
they put it together
1 minute
for you
were near to, I nearly became
the
him.
two is
1
crying.
minute I was near tears, the next minute you're laughing, then you're remembering where you were when certain things came, where was I or what age I was when different movies came out and who you saw.
It's a journey for yourself,
so it ends up being a whole, I just really enjoyed it because it is really, really well done.
And sometimes, Michael, the best awareness and education comes when we don't realise it's actually happening as well. So if it's not its intention and it's to tell the story of one person, you reflect and remember and grow with your awareness as you go through the journey.
And there is a thing with somebody like Michael J. Fox where you do feel an emotional connection and therefore you feel empathy.
You grew up with them.
Yes. And so you will feel for them, and it through that you can kind of walk a mile in their shoes.
Because he's one of those kind of people, or particularly people my age, that or in around my age, that you kind of feel like you know him because he's sort of been around so long. You know, he's one of those kind of celebrities that you're like, oh yeah, you just...
Well, I would have been 12 when Family Ties started. It was on Monday nights on RTE2, if I remember correctly. And I was always watching his shows, like I was watching his movies, and he was in several seasons of The Good Wife as a baddie, and he's so good as a baddie.
So
good as a baddie.
So good as a
baddie.
baddie.
Well, listen,
Lots
both of you, thank you very much for that. Great reviews so far. We've got 1 10 out of 10, or 9 or 10 out of 10, and we've also had great reviews from you. We're going to come back with a bit of news.
Yes.
Oh, showbiz correspondent, Michael, in just a couple of minutes. Stay right where you are and keep your texts coming into us. 086 60 25,000.
The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Have you got the Bike Week feeling? Bike Week runs from Saturday the 13th of May to Sunday the 21st of May. So whether you want to get back on the bike or try cycling for the first time, Bike Week is for everyone. Enjoy a range of events including community and school cycles, fun bike festivals and more. Visit bikeweek.ie for a full list of events taking place in your county. Bike Week is funded by the Department of Transport, coordinated by TFI and brought to you by the local authorities and sports partnerships.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Euro Millions jackpot is an estimated 55 million euro. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Join us for the Hyundai 232 Celebration Week, May 22nd to 28th. Celebrating Ioniq 6, winner of World Car Design of the Year, World Electric Car of the Year, and overall World Car of the Year 2023. And the Ioniq 5, winner of the same awards in 2022. Visit the Hyundai 232 Celebration Week to order your new Hyundai from our multi-award-winning range, including Ireland's best-selling car, the Tucson. Hyundai, a class apart.
The 232 Celebration Week is from Monday the 22nd until Sunday the 28th of May at Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny.
Suffering from hearing loss? At Kingsbridge Hearing Care in Ballykelly, our expert audiologists are ready to see you. Our brand new clinic location within Kingsbridge Northwest offers a full range of hearing aid provision, including enhanced hearing assessments and earwax removal treatment. So what are you waiting for? Don't let hearing loss hold you back. Call us on 028 7707 6050 or visit kingsbridgehearingcare.co.uk to book your appointment today.
Preparing for a special occasion? Sorrento Shoes has the finishing touch. Shoes and bags in pastel shades, bling or classic neutrals. Sorrento Shoes. Available in all leading shoe stores.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
The 9 till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Is the appearance of your staff important to your business? It's the first point of contact for customers when entering your premises. At C&M Embroidery in Letterkenny, they have a huge range of clothing covering all areas of the workplace. It's widely known that customers warm to and trust employees that present themselves well. Have your company name embroidered or printed on all your work uniforms. Contact C&M Embroidery on 07491 28097 and get your staff looking their best.
Check out these special offers at Simpsons Supermarket Glencar, Letterkenny. There's Nicky Toilet Roll 9-pack, €3. Lucasade Sport 4-pack, €3. Kellogg's Cornflakes 720 gram, €2.50. And there's Surf Tropical 80 Wash, now €10. At Simpsons Supermarket Glencar, Letterkenny. While there, check out Peggy's Kitchen Cafe for great food, tea and coffee. Only 2 minutes from Letterkenny Hospital. Simpsons Supermarket for great value every day.
Raymond Sweeney here to let you know about some great value laptops we now have in stock, like the super affordable Ventura Europa, powered by an Intel Celeron processor, ideal for studying, e-learning and keeping up to date with the latest news for just $249. Also the super fast Avita Pura laptop with a Ryzen 5 processor, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage for only $399. Check out these and other great value laptops now at Ben Sweeney Euronics in Letterkenny and Dunlow.
The groom goes free. The groom goes free. Yes, you heard it. The Groom's Room. Evolve Clothing, Letterkenny Retail Park. The groom goes free. Call in today. Terms and conditions apply.
At Permanent TSB, we know the value of being part of a community.
helping local customers and businesses with all of their banking needs. That's why we're opening 25 new branches in towns across Ireland, and our team is looking forward to meeting you. Call in to our new branch at Ardaravan Square, Buncrana. We're Permanent TSB, and we're ready to welcome you today. Permanent TSB PLC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Okay, the rumours are circulating. They are true. Donegal has another millionaire because a €1 million lottery ticket was sold in Kelly's Centra and Kelly's Diner. Marcin Kelly's managing director of the shop just across the road from us here. He joins us on the programme now. Exciting times, Marcin. When did you get the news from the National Lottery that you had sold, you effectively made a millionaire in the shop?
Greg, good morning to you, and thank you very much for giving us a call. No, Greg, great excitement. We got the phone call from the National Lottery late yesterday evening, 9:25 last night, to say that there was a winner. The winner was picked on Tuesday, so it was from the Daily Millions lotto draw that they do themselves internally. At this stage, we don't know who it is. I suppose, look, there's great excitement. There is no rumours. We don't know who it is. It could be passing trade. It could be people from the West. It could be people locally. It could be tourists. It could be people walking in the place. I see you were in with yourself on Tuesday, so you could have won it. I don't know if that's maybe...
I'll check my ticket. It could be me. I was in there on Tuesday. I did do a quick... I did not. I wish it was. I can tell you where I wouldn't be sitting, and that's right here, right now. I'd be giving Fionnuala Rabbit a two-fingered salute and running out the door.
And away you go.
So, come here. We don't know who's won, and as you say, you know, you've got a huge local clientele, but also a massive through traffic as well. It's just one of those premises on the road that it's on, so it could be someone living next door. It could be, as you say, someone from Burton Port. We just simply don't know.
It could. And we have a lot of people that plays the lotto with us, and they do the National Lottery, and a lot of people that buy the lotto cards as well. So, as you said, look, it could be anybody, but the excitement is palpable around this morning. We're expecting the National Lottery representatives to be with us at 12, and there's great celebrations to be had, and I know there's photographers, and I know even local press like yourself has contacted us, was great. So no, great excitement, and if we know anything, and we're okay to share it, I certainly will share it. But at this stage, we don't know who it is. Whoever it is, it's going to make a huge difference in their life. It's such a fantastic thing to happen to anybody.
All right, brilliant stuff.
What would you not do?
Exciting for the management and the staff as well. It gives a nice little buzz in what's already a buzzing facility. Great stuff, Marcin. Keep us updated and well done. Thanks so very much indeed.
Thank you.
Right,
Take care.
Bye-bye. Marcin Kelly, Managing Director there of the Awesomes food store, Kelly's Centra and Kelly's Diner. What's that for new?
Who hasn't shown up to work today?
Well, there's a lot of people in the building. How many of them are working? I don't know. Katie is not here. Where's
suspicious.
Katie?
I know, very suspicious.
When did she book Friday off?
I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to check that one out.
Who else?
I've always liked Katie, by the way. We're very close. I'd say we're best mates, just in case she's listening.
Well, I said to her, if you won the lotto, what would you do about the begging letters? And she said, I'd keep sending them. I wouldn't let that put me off. Right, okay. What's the news, my friend?
The news, yes, a lot of news.
Showbiz news with Michael.
Showbiz news. Oh, I like that. May every year is when the American networks bring down the chop on a lot of shows. So every day this week, American networks, the main networks, have been cancelling shows and renewing shows. So I'll start with two good renewals, because there's two brand new shows that stood out. First of all, I'm sure a lot of people remember the Matlock series of the 80s and 90s. A very standard murder mystery, Murder, She Wrote-esque type of show. Andy Griffith. That's been rebooted with Kathy Bates as the new Matlock. I think it's a complete reboot. It's not like she's his daughter or something like that.
No.
They're just starting off with the whole thing. So it's basically Matlock is returning, as so many shows have done in recent years. They brought MacGyver back. They brought Magnum P.I. back. They bring all these shows back. So Matlock will be arriving on American screens, assuming the writer's strike comes to an end. And then obviously we'll have it over here probably late this year or early next year. So if you're a Matlock fan or a Kathy Bates fan from Misery, or from, was it Harry's Law she did?
Yeah.
From any of those shows, then you might be excited by the prospect of this. And
it'll be out a bit earlier than that. I've seen trailers for it already.
Well, she's
a retiree, and she goes back to work as a solicitor.
Matlock was originally a fella.
Yes, that's right. Andy Griffith was him, yeah. And the idea was that he was a southern lawyer whose down home wisdom was better than all them city slickers, you know.
I think that's from what I've seen from the trailers, and that's why I say I think it's actually going to be in the autumn.
Yeah. Well, if the writer's strike is solved, it'll be on CBS probably third week of September.
What else is coming then?
The other show that really stands out, we've been talking about The Good Wife a lot. Good Wife had already had one spin-off, Good Fight. Good Wife, I love that show. One of the best written, smartest shows on TV in the last decade, 15 years. One of the best characters on it was a character called Elsbeth, played by Carrie Preston, who I can best describe, if you haven't seen the show, she's sort of like a Columbo-esque character who comes in, appears to be walking chaos. Everybody underestimates her, and she's always the smartest person in the room. She'd outwit everybody, and brilliant character who also appeared in The Good Fight. After 10, 15 years of playing the character, popping up maybe 2 or 3 episodes a season, Carrie Preston is now getting her own show as Elsbeth, starting again in America, September time. Very excited about that because she's an amazing performer, and this is a fantastic character. This is another show in that franchise of 3 shows that could last for another 6 or 7 years. That's the good news out of the way. Some of the shows we've talked about on air, are you okay, Fionnuala? 3 Pines, which Fionnuala has loved,
awesome,
has been cancelled. Not because of ratings, but because they couldn't work out financial deal behind the scenes. Amazon and I think I'm going to say Sony, but I could be wrong. Whoever the production, they couldn't work out a deal, so the show has been pulled. Same thing has happened with a long-running Resident, which has an actor from The Good Wife. There's a theme this morning. That's going off the air abruptly after 6 seasons. They weren't expecting to be pulled.
Is 3 Pines, is there episodes is there a story that needs to be
ends on a cliffhanger.
Oh,
ends on a big cliffhanger.
We were talking about it. It's set in Canada, and Alfred Molina is in it. I really, really enjoyed it. It was like, it's on.
You loved it. You loved it.
But you're not going to get any satisfaction then.
The novels will answer the questions because they're based on a series of novels. Yeah.
Let's go back to that's why we thought it'd be going on forever. And actually, we were saying that Alfred Molina, this could be his, like Daniel Craig has done with the Knives Out. This could be his right up until he decides to chuck in the towel permanently.
Another cancellation. Anyone who's listening to the entertainment slot over the last few years knows that I've completely given my heart to Catherine Winnick. She captured my heart as a detective sheriff on Big Sky. Big Sky has been cancelled. So House Private this weekend, I'm going to be just taking it very easy. I don't want any phone calls. I'm just going to have thoughts and prayers for Michael Eddy. So yeah, that show, Reba McEntire was in the 3rd season. It's such a fun show, but the viewership was going down, so they pulled the plug. NCIS Los Angeles has reached the end of its 14th season life, so that's off the air. Avenue 5 with Hugh Laurie, that's gone as well quite quickly. Another show that Fionnuala loved, Alaska Daily. I
liked it.
You liked it, yeah. You're right. I misspoke.
I couldn't see it standing. And that one is the one that people are going to be surprised.
Yeah, that's the and the physical with Rose Byrne is coming to an end after one more season. That's one of my favourite shows. And the last thing I have on my list is the big one. Because of all the behind the scenes problems they've had with the lead actor on the show, they've definitely conclusively announced that Yellowstone is finishing after 8 more episodes, and that is really shocking. Because
what about the spin-offs then? They can continue,
Yes, but the problem, and people are saying it's not just Kevin Costner and we love that character, but if we can the spin-offs take care of Beth and the family, like Rip's one of the best characters, and they're great characters. So the big question marks, but it's
Did you watch that, Fionnuala?
I did. I watched the first series of the first one.
Were you dragged
I enjoyed
into it? Yeah, okay.
I liked it, but I have
Gets
to say,
better in season 2. Yeah,
I enjoyed it, but I just never really gave it the time.
Yeah.
And I needed to be on there,
especially when there's multiple series, it feels like a big commitment.
It is a huge commitment.
Yeah, and it's difficult it's not streaming direct. You have to get Paramount, which is a bit awkward.
RTE Player had it,
missed it, you missed it,
and they pulled it. Yeah,
if you missed it, you missed it.
But it's a difficult one because Taylor Sheridan famously had planned seasons in advance. Like he was talking about season 5 when he was shooting the pilot.
Yeah,
so he had very specific plans. Now he only has 8 episodes to finish it, and it's going to be rough. And it's rare to see such a top I mean, arguably it could be the number one. You know, it's because of the franchise, number one show in the world.
I
It's
would
leaving the
say
year.
it is possibly organically one of the most commented programs from listeners on the site.
Oh, it is, yeah.
That people, you have to watch it. If you don't watch it, you know. Pat Garrett, Billy the Kid also features another big Bob Dylan hit, also popularised by Nathan Carter, Wagon Wheel.
Okay.
Wagon Wheels in it.
I'm trying to remember what else. Yeah, but there's a few. There's several, like Dylan. I don't recognise that, but okay. No, there's several. Like Dylan did the soundtrack, so there's like, and he sings and he acts in it as well. Well, he acts. Acts is a strong
You're
word.
using that word very
I know.
loosely
He
there.
stands there in front of the camera and he
hey
emotes.
I have to go. We have to go. All right,
That was fun.
unfortunately, time flies so lumming quick, doesn't it? Fanula, Michael, both of you, thank you very much indeed. Looking forward to reconvening next Friday already. Just to remind you that John Breslin is coming up around the Northwest next. He's live on an OB at iMotors in Drumkeen. The team from iMotors will be chatting to John about their open weekend, which is launching today. They have their stock secured and ready to go for July delivery. You've got your 232 cars there available to view. So tune in to the show coming up after the news for more information on this, along with entertainment news, music, and, which I like the best, plenty of giveaways. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll be back